Good evening. It's Monday, December 15th, 2025. Calling the Groton Board of Education regular meeting to order. In attendance, we have Mike Whitney and myself, Adrian Johnson, and online, and on the screen, down Ian Thomas, Jay Whiteloff, Andrea Ackerman, and Jen White, Sean Corcoran. So the first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the next order of business is the recognition and participation of visitors and delegations. I think it's comments from the citizens. Is there any?
Well, there were no recognitions for today, but the comments from the citizens will come next.
Yeah, sorry. All right, next order is comments from the citizens, agenda items, and other subjects of concern that lie within the jurisdiction of the Board of Education. This is the portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during comments of citizens portion of the meeting. Citizens should make their presentations from the podium and state their names and address for the record. So is there anyone that would like to speak? All right, anyone online?
There's one attendee. I don't know.
Right. Do we see anyone online? Raising hand, Mark? Or Caitlin?
No, I don't see anyone asking.
All right. All right. So I guess response to comments from citizens, I guess we can kind of skip that one. Student representative report.
I'm just looking to see if we have a student rep. I thought we were going to have someone on Zoom. If we have a student rep on Zoom.
I looked, they didn't come in.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. And I think Matt said they had a game and we'd come after that.
Okay.
All right, maybe we can
Postpone that,
to this portion of the agenda if they end up online. All right, next order of business is the superintendent and administration reports, and we'll start with the superintendent and assistant superintendent reports.
All right. So we're bringing back some more information about the Mary Morrison Early Childhood Center, the grant that we received from the Office of Early Childhood. And I'd like, Mark, if you could put up the presentation for us, that would be great. And we can go through, as you know, all of our presentations have been linked to the strategic plan with the pillars, and these pillars really are to accelerate learning. We actually had this conversation with the board members and staff about how, and it's a priority for the board to look at early childhood or look at our elementary level, and pre-K would be the beginning of all of that. So we have a 3-year-old program and a 4-year-old program, and we're looking to start the process in phase 1 where all 4-year-olds would go to the Mary Morrison School and have full-day programs. And we feel like this is probably one of the best things Groton can do for the future for our children, to give them really a solid foundation. And then, of course, strengthening pathways to readiness in secondary. You know, it all filters up. So from preschool, pre-K, to elementary, to middle school, and high school. So we'll go to the next one. This is a slide that everybody has seen before. And I'll just go in and start with this one, and then we'll move on, and staff will continue it. Early childhood program expansion. So currently we have 11 classrooms, 18 sessions, because they're all half-day sessions. or most of them are half-day. We actually have 3 classrooms, but 6 sessions at Mystic River. We have 1 full-day pre-K at Mystic River, and we have 1 ABA. And currently, there are 2 sessions, so she has a few students for the morning and a few in the afternoon, but some will stay all day. And so we're looking at that, even something similar to that model, as they move to Mary Morrison. And then at Thames River, we have 2 full-day TKs. We have 3 classroom 6 sessions, just like Mystic River, which are half-day 6 sessions, half-days. And then Northeast Academy also has a pre-K TK. So moving into next year, at Mary Morrison, the Early Childhood Center, we would have 9 full-day classrooms, 1 ABA, which would have the 3-year-olds in the morning, and some 4-year-olds, and the 4-year-olds would stay all day. And so, speaking with the ABA teacher, she felt like that would be the best way to service the children. And then it also gives equity to all our 4-year-olds, whether they have an IEP, whether they're a model, whether they're in pre-K. They're really considered all pre-kindergarten students. They're 4 years old. The next year they'll be, going into kindergarten. So it really levels the playing field, and it gives equity to the situation that, really hasn't been equitable, and we're really looking to make it equitable. So that's the biggest hurrah for this situation. And then 3-year-olds will continue with 6 sessions at Thames River, and there'll still be half-days for 3-year-olds. So that's 13 classrooms, 17 sessions. Oh, Jay? Did you have a question? I shouldn't be saying that. I should.
Yeah, it's all right.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, it doesn't seem so.
Okay.
So,
So is this where you take over? Or
Yep,
you?
I'll take over. So the program expansion that we're proposing this evening would service 210 students. So again, we would have the 3 classrooms. Oh, this is our current.
This is our current.
This is our current. Again, this is a little redundant. It's exactly what Susan just explained, so I'll skip over that.
But it has the number of students.
It has a number of students, 210 students.
And by sessions and the different classes that we already have.
Right, so it's very similar to what you just saw. We just have the students. So 70 students in the integrated preschool at Mystic River, 16 in the full-day pre-K TK, and then 12 in the ABA, 32 in the 2 pre-K TK classrooms at Thames, 70 in the 3 integrated preschool classrooms at Thames, and 16 in the pre-K TK at Northeast, for a total of 210 students. We're proposing, when we are at full capacity, which would be the spring, that we would have 270 slots for students if the plan for the Mary Morrison Early Childhood Center is approved. And to reach those 270 students, we would have 9 classrooms that would be full day for 4-year-olds. That would service 162 students. As Susan said, we would maintain our 1 ABA classroom with 3-year-olds in the AM. 4-year-olds, all 4-year-olds would move to a full day, and that would service 12 students. And then we'd maintain for next year our 3 integrated preschool classrooms at Thames River Magnet with 96 students. So by the end of the year next year, we would envision 270 students. And the reason why we're saying the end of the year next year is because there is a requirement that all districts provide what's called FAPE at age 3. So FAPE is a free appropriate public education that once a student with a disability is identified, a district is required to provide a program for that student at age 3. So because we have referrals that come in throughout the year from birth to 3, parents and local preschools, we need to reserve spots for students who turn 3 throughout the year. And this is updated from the December 12th PowerPoint. We did go through some of the numbers today and make just a few minor adjustments.
And
So,
Mark, you can lift the slide to the next one now
yeah, so that's why we put a copy at everyone's seat for you, so you have the most recent.
and tried to highlight the
Right,
fixer up.
right. So again, you can see, this is spelled out with a little bit more detail, but you can see the early childhood program expansion enrollment. This is the current program, 25-26. So you can see currently our preschools are half-day, and we have 16 students per classroom for an enrollment of 192. The fall enrollment was 140, and in spring, we estimate about 167.
But could go up to 192.
Yes.
That's the full capacity.
And as we shared with the board last week, we are not in a position where we're filling all of our slots because parents are in need of full-day program. So oftentimes, if we offer a student a half-day program, the parent might say, gee, I'd really like to take that spot, but I need a full-day program. I can't leave work and drive my student from Mystic River to daycare, for the PM session. So I'm going to have to pass on the slot and put my child in full-day daycare. And that's
Or a full-day magnet.
or full-day magnet. And that's a trend that we've seen increase within the past several years because it used to be back in, maybe 2015, we had a wait list, and we used to have to run lotteries for the seats. And we haven't seen that in quite a few years, which is a change. But then again, there's many more options in the community with local magnet schools as well, offering full-day pre-K. You can see our pre-K full-day. Our capacity is for 64. Our fall enrollment was 64, and we estimate the spring enrollment at 78. ABA, our capacity is 12. Our fall enrollment was 6. And our spring enrollment, we estimate 6, but it would probably be more upwards of 10, because that's a classroom that will accept students as they become identified as having special needs. So you can see our total students, in terms of our fall enrollment is 210, and our spring estimated enrollment is 961.
The other thing about this year is kind of an anomaly. Usually our submarines are leaving and coming, especially if they're
That's
going
ours.
to be changing ports in the summer, early fall. This year we had a submarine leave early fall, summer, early fall, but the new one that's coming to replace it isn't coming in until the spring. So we have this lower enrollment, but we're waiting to see, if we're going to have equal number of families coming back in.
Right. And I did misspeak. So the 961 is the total daily program hours for all students. And we included that in there because you'll see on an upcoming slide how those total number of hours will increase with the full-day proposal. All right.
So the next slide just talks to kind of proposal for tonight, what that looks like number-wise. So for capacity, we're keeping the 96. We would continue to cap the half-day programs for preschool at the Thames at 16. So that doesn't change. And then obviously the fall enrollment is estimated, and then, comparatively, like an average that's for the spring. What the big differences are is for the pre-kindergarten, the 4-year-olds, for the grant, we can go up to 18, so our capacity would be 18, so that's a little bit of an increase from what we currently have. So that's 162 for the 4-year-olds, and then again, the fall estimated and spring estimated enrollment. ABA, we'll keep it probably the same, so you're going to see that number consistent. But the overall students is a little bit higher, not a ton, but that's why we added in the total daily program hours as 1,323 comparatively to the 900 and change from the last slide, is because that's really the big increase, obviously, moving to a full day, and the number of hours that the students will be accessing their education.
I would say, in addition to time, the 4-year-old, we're going to have increased 4-year-old peers to join us so that we have a more, I would say, normalized ratio. Instead of 50-50, it would be more like 30 students that might have an IEP to 70 students that would be their peers.
Right.
So, that's also part of this grant that they want to see, extension of time, and then also that ratio more naturalized. And then, the competitiveness, I think, to be competitive with these early childhood programs with full-day options for our family, or full days for our families for pre-K 4. Is a great opportunity. And I just mentioned the highly mobile military, never mind the Columbia class being built right at ED. And new housing. Our kids are really doing a remarkable job creating housing opportunities too.
And I think, as Susan said, I think I've mentioned before in previous presentations, but changing the ratios of 50-50 to 30-70 really does allow us to have for universal preschool or pre-kindergarten for all 4-year-olds, which currently we just with the criteria we have to have, we do have some kids that fall in the criteria do not qualify. So this would really eliminate that, which would be.
Because I think TK started out as a program that fixed a problem when 4-year-olds were too young to come to kindergarten, and you wanted to give them an extra year. They called them burr babies, September, October, November, December. And no longer, it's like any child who's going to be ready for kindergarten the following year, they all have access.
And I think, Susan, you were going to talk about the next slide, just like the personnel and kind of what that would look like.
We had the total numbers, but the board asked for more specificity, so we were happy to say, we usually use a beginning teacher rate, $65,000, so that's the 130 for teachers. We'll need a program coordinator. Karen will serve as administrator for part of the time, and we'll also have a teacher leader. So in addition, we have social work part-time and speech and language pathologists part-time added. We already have speech-language pathologists in the 2 schools. There's one at Mystic River that helps support preschool, so we'll be able to use those services along with additional services to give us what we need. And then a play-based theme coach, instead of having all the different specials, we'll have one person in the school who's had play-based training and be able to really service all the different areas of play for the kids every day. And that will provide release time, prep time for our teachers per their contract. So between, we have professionals and, with several additional paras. We have a full-time nurse, a head custodian, school secretary, and we're used to Rita's training. We always make sure we put fringe in there to support us, so the benefits. And then,
I've got a quick question.
okay, all right.
So, if we go back to what was the 4th slide, Mark, one that starts with the program expansion, enrollment, yeah. So
Is it the 26, 27, or the one that doesn't have the year yet? I think it's the one that has
yeah.
current versus spring at the top.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah, that's the one. We'll have to look at page numbers again
Pages,
here
yeah.
at some point. But so and maybe I'm doing my math wrong, but I count the teachers in the current programs and then 13. Is that correct? And
There's only 2 more. So there's 3, 4, 5 at Mystic. And there's 5, 6,
Is 11.
11.
all right. Oh, yeah, the 3. All right, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
The
Go
half
back.
I knew that was
day sessions.
Good catch.
That was my math. All right, so we can go back. Any other questions since we stopped? All right.
I guess after the staffing, we were also asked to do a deeper dive, which we did with Sam and our team, to ensure that we had the facilities upgrade necessary. So we've worked with Dr. Kennedy about technology and security to have all the things that we already have in our elementary schools. You know, locks, cameras that work, everything that's needed. And so that was like a big portion of the $600,000 construction fee, which is $109,000. HVAC units and installation. There are some, they have the individual air conditionings in each of the rooms. And they're going to be tested, but this is in case we need to replace all of them for the 15 rooms, I believe. And paint and supplies and labor, he's listed. Basic repairs like plumbing, light fixture, floor tiles, and they've done a whole assessment of the facility and gone room by room. And I think it was Tom, who's your maintenance director, and who else helped you with that? Sam, was it? Tom, yeah. And then new furnishings, but I have to tell you that we have a wonderful group of preschool teachers who have been through, looking through the storage, things that we've stored, and really feel like this is really half the amount of what we're going to have, because we're going to be able to refurbish and pull some of the newer equipment, newer furnishings, and bring it over. And some things will be able to come over from their classroom that are typical for, or needed for preschool. So that won't be left behind. So that's good too. So we're going to utilize everything that we have. And so I think a bigger portion of this new furnishing, Karen, you helped us with that, are the right size cafeteria tables for littles.
Yeah.
Right? That was a big chunk of that we needed. And then there's handrails and steps. The driveway, we're going to get an estimate. That was brought up by the board, that there were some potholes, I guess, in the driveway, so we have to figure out what's needed, so we'll have that inspected. Playground equipment and playground improvements, and a fence so that it is completely surrounded. We really have to follow these NIAC accreditation standards, and that's what we're using. Our preschools are all NIAC accredited. It's a heavy lift, but it's really worthwhile. And I think it's pretty impressive that we do have that accreditation, want to keep it for this new center. And then a storage container, because it seems like everywhere we go we need a storage container. But I know that at Mystic River, we were able to get a storage container for the bikes and trikes and things for the trails right there, so they're very accessible for the kids to play. And they protect them so they don't wear out, too, in the weather. And then there's a remaining $350,000 for any other facility, property improvement, signage, new fixtures, plumbing upgrades. I know that Sam has reached out to the fire marshal, and he's expected to go through, so there was questions about, making sure that we were up to code, so that's going to happen. Did I miss anything, Sam?
I don't think you got it all.
Building assessments were complete on the 10th, and water testing is pending, although I thought we had the water testing. I thought, or was that the 8th? No, that was the air quality.
I just talked to the city this morning. We're going to do that the second week of January.
Was it? And HVAC is coming, but was it air quality? I think you were...
Your mic's off. Your mic's off. Sorry.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, the water testing is going to be the second week of January, and the HVAC testing is part of the state requirement for our buildings, so we've added... Well, again, part of my other report was going to say that we had an estimate on 2 buildings that came in too high for this year, so we eliminated the high school for this year. We'll do that next year, and do Mary Morrison and Charles Barnum, which are less costly, to stay within budget.
And then, Susan, I would just add that under the additional for facility and property improvements, Sam brought up a really good point that we really want to kind of spruce up the front of the building. So the stairs need some TLC. Some of the concrete has chunks have come out. The railing, the handrail, to really make it look appealing and welcoming for our families. So we plan to do some, refurbishing and sprucing up of the front of the building, including the entryway with the steps and the handrail.
And we also are thinking of this as a welcoming center and maybe having enrollment over there as well, and outreach to our families so that they can come and get resources, and, so we really want it similar to what New London has done and other towns have done, is to have this is also servicing that as well as but to have it in a couple locations.
Right.
Sean?
Yeah, I'll just add on. I remember on election day, I was at Mary Morrison, and there was several people complaining about not having handicap access to the building and kind of having a long walkway to the building. So just something to consider as we're making renovations.
Okay.
That
You mean up the stairs from the parking lot in the
from the
front?
parking lot to the front door, yes.
Okay.
Anyone? Andrea and Jen? Andrea first. Andrea, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. I just have a question. I'm really sure that I heard this right. Did I hear that there were chunks missing from the front steps? Wouldn't that be a safety issue, not just a cosmetic issue?
No, it's just some of the concrete on the step has just, chipped off. Yeah.
I see that.
So we would be refurbishing that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Jen?
Are these just the numbers provided, like paint, supplies, and labor? Was that like from a quote? To paint 15 rooms at $8,000 roughly? I don't know, I just think that might be a little bit low. So I'm just trying to understand, are these estimates, or did we get quotes from vendors? And then second, how's the roof at Mary Morrison?
Well, first of all, the paint, that's not the paint 15 classrooms. Some of the rooms are in pretty good condition. There was some spot painting in a couple of rooms, and I think one room that definitely needed to be repainted. So that's the number for repainting. The roof on that building is within the time frame. It's not required to be replaced yet. We've made some repairs on that over the years. It's had some leaks. I had one classroom that has some tiles that we're going to be repairing. I think that's on the list as well. And so that roof patching was done previously. So we don't have any active leaks that I'm aware of right now. We're in the building at least weekly to check things out. So I don't foresee a problem.
And as all good budgets go, this is kind of a prediction of what we'll need after kind of a careful analysis, but it is not expending the whole grant. It's only expending not even half of the grant. So there are funds. Should it come in low, Jen, we would be okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
All right, any other questions?
So we tried to provide several scenarios. This was actually Shannon's good work. This whole thing is Shannon's good work with the whole committee. So I really can't say enough. I mean, we really looked at it with the Smart Start grant, which is the $600,000. There's another Early Start grant that we're looking into to see how that could interface with this. So just even looking at the Smart Start grant and thinking about magnet retention or retaining our kids here or getting them back from some of the magnet schools, we put out a cost of about $54,000 as a potential savings. Did you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, we thought it would be worthwhile to kind of look at these numbers. So on the slide here, we have at the top our current preschool pre-K budget, which is about $1.7 million, and the proposed preschool expansion, which so combined, that comes up to about $2.3 million. So future funding scenarios past next year. So we're estimating our operational costs for next year will be about $600,000. So what will that look like in 2027, 28? Well, unfortunately, it is a little difficult to tell what the state is going to be providing for support because they're still figuring that out. So we thought we would just put out a couple. First one is a best case scenario. The state continues to fund us at $600,000 per year. Wouldn't that be nice? And then we put in just a very conservative estimate as to perhaps we retain some of those preschool magnet school students and they decide not to continue on to kindergarten at the regional magnet school. So just estimate about 20 kindergarten students decide to stay. Right now we have, I think it was 48 preschool students at a regional magnet school, and all 18 of them decided to stay for this year for kindergarten.
Well, there were 18 last year and 18 stayed, so now we're 40 something.
Oh, were there only 18 there?
Only 18 and all 18
all of them
stayed for
stayed.
this year.
Okay. I
But
didn't
now,
realize
coming into those preschool slots, there's over 40, close to 50. And if they all stayed, that would cost us a lot of money for magnet.
There's 41.
Yeah, gotcha. And of course, this, could accumulate over time. If we are able to retain them in kindergarten, hopefully we would retain them for the remainder of their, public school life. Scenario 2 would be if we charge tuition for our program. The typical tuition at public schools is $2,800. The local regional magnet school charges $400 per month, so over 7 months, that's $2,800. Again, we put in just a conservative estimate. If 150 students were paying that full price, so about half of the program. That also doesn't take into account if we received reimbursement through Care for Kids for the students that weren't able to pay full price. So we figured that was kind of roughly maybe what we would be able to bring in with tuition. And then the third scenario is, if we didn't receive any funds through the Office of Early Childhood, and it was completely on the board, but we did retain some of that magnet school tuition. So then that would be a difference of approximately $546,000, so about a third more than what we're currently paying for our preschool program.
It would give us the gift of time, though, to see about this because we know it's on the governor's list of things to do, and there's millions of dollars that are going to be made available. That's why we've really gone after this and want to be front and center with getting those funds. So we should know, more at the end of, at the start of 27, 28. And, it gives the board lots of different options of how to deal with the increased expense. And, should we continue to get funds, that would be a beautiful thing, and we wouldn't have to get money back. And we'd also get money back just keeping our own kids here in district and not paying for magnet schools. But we do know that magnet and choice is really important, so I applaud Southeastern Connecticut for having all those choices for kids.
Yeah, And it's possible, too, that we have a combination of all four of these. We have a grant from the Office of Early Childhood, decide on some type of tuition scenario. We retain more magnet students, and the board takes on a portion. Any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question. The magnet school cost avoidance, is that what we pay, $2,700 to district magnet school per child?
Approximately. Yeah.
That's not special ed costs, that's just.
Right, that's true.
Special
Yeah,
ed
those
does not
20,
include
all of the
special ed.
special ed kids would just, yeah, there's not, we wouldn't be able to charge them partial tuition or anything like that, correct? In the preschool.
That's correct.
You have to provide
That's
that, right?
correct.
Yeah, so they.
And
they
those
wouldn't-
costs vary all the way up to,
Yeah.
what did they say, 30,000?
That's correct,
Could
yeah.
be as much as 30,000 plus the 2,700.
All right, and then what about busing to magnet school? Do we pay for that, or is that covered by the state, to out of district?
We only pay for the special ed students to be bused for preschool.
All right,
The regular ed students' parents provide the transportation.
all right.
Although we do have the magnet school grant, and currently, are we transporting kids from Hubs to New London? And I think Learn has taken on that grant for their kids, so they're transporting them,
Yes.
I think, regular ed to
Yeah.
RMMS.
And the Friendship School.
And we do marine science because they're in district, and we do Grasso because they're in district.
All right.
But I think, Karen, you arranged for the Friendship School, right?
I was, sorry.
Or Mitch, whoever was next.
Yeah.
Can I add something to transportation?
Yeah.
Sorry. So I think there would be some kind of cost reduction for transportation, because for our special education students that are going to Magnet right now, we provide usually like Curtin or some kind of transportation like that. So if we were to have them come back to district and they could ride, like a more typical bus, there would probably be a cost reduction.
Yeah. It would have to be Curtin because our buses don't leave the district. So, and Curtin is pricey.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I guess, are we going to have to run additional buses for this program?
Well,
So how much will that cost?
we'd eliminate the midday run, but we would have more 4-year-olds going to Mary Morrison. The regular ed students could ride on the big bus. I think we're using big buses now for 4-year-olds. And we'd have to look at smaller buses for the 3-year-olds, which we're currently doing. But yes.
3-year-olds will only go to Thames.
Yeah, it would-
Going on to one spot.
But maybe some to the ABA program. But there would probably be an increase in terms of the need for the bigger buses. But we may also attract a lot of families that can walk. When Mary Morrison was open, we had a lot of walkers. A lot of families coming from, using the paths behind the school that are all paved, that they can walk to school.
All right. So do we have any idea on how much is a bus? If we break it down to that.
I'd have to look. I don't have it off the top of my head.
All right.
We could do a quick analysis of that. An estimate. But I would say that I'm not sure if the construction fee or if it come from operations to pay for buses, but we could ask the Office of Early Childhood. Yeah,
All right.
where the money comes from.
Mike?
Mitch was first.
Mitch?
Okay, thank you. I apologize for coming in late. You may have already discussed this, but I see on it's $50,000 for a play-based team coach. What is that supposed to do?
So,
I need that.
by contract, our teachers need to have a prep each day. So typically, we have a PE teacher, an art teacher, a music teacher, so like maybe 5 staff members in a school that do what they call specials. So they get a PE class, they get a music class, an art class. because play-based education is so essential to early childhood, we said it. And we do have these coaches in the themed magnet schools part-time. But if we had a play-based coach, they could offer play, in an artistic setting or in, a gym or a play base, so that you'd only have to have one staff member instead of multiple staff members to give that coverage that's necessary for our teachers per their contract.
Okay.
And also, Mitch, a play-based approach is mandated in Connecticut. So we're required to have a portion of the day be dedicated to the students making decisions about what they'd like to create and how they'd like to use play to enhance their learning.
Okay.
And that actually happens in the preschool day, too. So it's not just the special.
Yeah, the
It's all day
teachers
long.
typically do that, right?
Yeah.
Even the classroom teachers.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
They've all been
They do
trained.
it all day.
Become part of the job later.
Yeah, it
They
is.
provide the materials and the kids take it from there.
Yeah.
It's kind of an old-fashioned idea, actually. We always believed that children needed to have play and invent their play and not always be micromanaged with play. But now it's like my
Part of the-
generation coming back.
Yeah, part of the schedule, the curriculum.
All right, Mike?
Yes, thank you. I have three questions. The one is actually appropriate for this future funding scenarios. According to the grant, are we on the hook? Have we committed ourselves to having this expansion in terms of operations go beyond the next school year? Because I haven't funded it. So I'm wondering, is there a scenario 4, which is would not be optimal, but scenario 4 would be just to go back to the amount of seats that we have now?
Correct, we're not obligated, no. So that would be an option to return to what we're currently doing.
Okay, thanks. And then the second question is, you mentioned walkers and different slots and waiting lists from times before. Is there a financial need-based consideration to fill these slots, or is it first come, first serve? I know there's a special education one, but for just non-special education, is there a financial priority for that?
I would say that this is a grant that sees us as an opportunistic district, because we are, especially in preschool, at least 50% free and reduced lunch. So they're looking for districts like ours.
Right, but so in when applying for school, the people get bumped up the list by showing need beyond others. I think that'd be very useful because it helped, in future years that child advance where they might otherwise experience challenges. They will anyway.
So my understanding is the priority is for low-income students.
Okay. That's
And I
good.
think to keep that ratio of like 50-50, which we really already have, so it's not going to be a heavy lift for us. It's happening naturally.
Yeah, we've actually been talking about having parents fill out the free and reduced lunch form at registration.
Of preschool, so we'll have a handle.
Right.
But that'd be before that they'd have already gotten their season. I see that. You might not
Well, that's something
have a firm idea.
we'd like to look at that becoming part of our registration process.
But then they would already have a seat at that point. So.
Not necessarily.
Oh,
She
okay.
said when they're applying.
Oh, applying. Okay, I got you. Not matriculation. Okay, got you. And then my third question is, I think it might be the slide, maybe 2 slides before with the positions.
The teaching positions.
Yeah.
Personnel.
Yeah, and so that's the last one. Just we weren't clear coming out of the meeting. So the program coordinators, 0.6 FTE, the early childhood social workers, 0.4 FTE, and the speech and language pathologists, 0.6 FTE, supported by this grant as it's shown here. The remainder of those FTEs, is that something we would, since this is for next school year, is that something we'd have to build into our budget that we'll be constructing in a few months, or a month or so?
There won't be any extra funds that would be necessary. We do have some of this staff already doing this job, but in the
Right.
other schools, so they probably move over.
Right. So in that case, is it fair to read this 0.6 FTE, 0.4, 0.6 as, at least for next school year, removing some of that off of the budget we put forward to the town? It seems like the grant is offsetting part of current positions then in that scenario.
I have to look at that closer.
I think the speech was an addition.
Yeah.
Because it's very common for children who are 3 and 4 years old to need support in communication and articulation and language. So the 0.6 is definitely an addition to the speech pathologist we already have in the district. The 0.4 social worker, I believe, is also someone who we currently have in the district who would be funded through the grant.
So as a sum total, it might more or less equal out. So I just think that's an important part of the picture as it goes forward to town council and RTM to have.
Well, I don't see that any of these costs, they're all taken care of by the grant, so the board would not be responsible for them, at least for this year, and hopefully going on in the future. So they would all be covered.
By the grant, I'm just worried about that remainder. But anyway, that's something basically we effectively next budget having to match these positions. It sounds like no, like from town budget, or is it offsetting some existing positions? I imagine that will be a question that'll come up as this goes along the way.
And if we find it, we'll show you.
It's
I don't
fine.
see it now.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing it now, Mike, but, as we go through that, we'll look. And these are positions, not people, so we can't really speak to the people part, because we'd go through the process of posting and seeing who, wanted to do it. I mean, certainly our teachers are all in place. So, finding out, how we do this in the appropriate manner.
If I recall, the early childhood social worker is currently being paid for through a grant, and that grant ends in June of 2026. So the intention is to move that position into this new grant called the Smart Start Grant. So we can retain that position next year.
So there wouldn't be any additional, to the budget, but to your point, I don't think it's offsetting.
Yeah, she's currently not in the budget. She's paid for through a grant.
On a 0.4 FTE basis? Or?
No, she's full-time, 1.0.
So that's what my question, where's that other 0.6? You don't have to have that right now, just...
That's okay. She also has her 092, her administrative degree, so if Karen is out of the building, she would be somebody who could also support the building.
Okay.
All right, Jen, I think you were next.
Jay and Sean can go before me because I already have a shot degree.
Oh, all right. Go ahead, Jay.
Yes. First of all, I just want to say that I do support the concept of the early childhood. But in the interest of full disclosure, I do want to go back to 2016, 2017, when we asked the town for $80,000 for planning for replacement of the parking lot and $420,000 for the replacement itself. Those CIPs were turned down several years in a row and then the building closed. So I'd be very interested to know the condition of the parking lot and how much it would cost now. I do think that part of that had to do with traffic studies because of concerns about the large number of parents who were dropping off there. So I'm not sure that it's directly related to the condition of the lot itself as much as they wanted to reimagine it for the kind of traffic we see these days with parent drop-off, which might not be as big an issue here because of the number of students involved. But I just don't want to lose track of that.
Thank you for that reminder.
And I just want to quickly mention I know later we do have an agenda item. I have to say that I kind of agree with Mike Whitney that I think tonight's vote should be to accept the grant and for that process to start and not commit to this actual center until all the funding's in place, and make sure that all of the other due diligence with regard to the roof and the parking lot and all these things are truly sustainable from the outset before we announce that we're going to have this program and get people excited and signed up, and then find out that there are some other things that we haven't seen. We haven't heard from the fire marshal. We don't know about the parking lot. We haven't heard when the roof was replaced or what other things might be pending when a building is no longer a school. That changes its status. Or no longer acceptable. So anyway, I'll just say that, and thank you very much.
Sean?
Very well said, and I agree with what Mike said. One of the questions I wanted to know is, do we know when the fire marshal will be coming in? And the reason I'm asking is we shouldn't proceed and start making any decisions until we know that this is going to be approved by the fire marshal. We were trying to put the robotic seat in there. We're told that Mary Morrison was not an option. So I'm very concerned that we haven't had that evaluated yet, and we're trying to make a decision. I think that's a very pivotal piece.
I have a call into the fire marshal. I'm waiting for him to give me a date. I'm expecting it'll come by any day now, relatively soon.
Anything else, Sean?
No, I was just saying, I would not, I don't think we should vote on anything until we know that this is even an option. The fire marshal can come in and say absolutely no, and then we're back to the drawing board.
Ian?
Thank you. I agree with Mike, Jay, and Sean in regard to, if we accept anything, vote anything today, we're going to accept the grant, but not necessarily endorse the plan. Because, again, all these hanging chads, so to speak, that we have out there that we don't have conclusive information on. I thank Sean for bringing up the point about the fire marshal. That's something I haven't quite explored in my mind either, is like how we can see this facility, things that we can do this sort of operation in, and it was not cleared for uses of a robotics location. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Jen, do you have another question?
Yes, I concur with all of my fellow board members with what they stated. And then the question that I had originally wanted to ask administration is how much, if you can quantify it, would be on the board's budget beyond the grant. So if we didn't get funding next year, because this is like a startup grant, how much would operationally it cost the district to run this? Because I don't necessarily know, like with the exception of special ed, which is sort of like a mandate, I don't know if we should really get into the business of running an organization knowing that it's going to be a net loss from the onset. So that's just something to think about and explore financially. Like yes, it's great that we want to propose this summer. I'm totally, not the summer, the early childhood But if we as a district can't financially afford it, and there are other organizations out there that already do it, unfortunately, that might be the course of action that we have to take. So I don't have enough information at this point, but definitely, like I said, I agree with everyone who preceded me.
So,
Thank you.
can I respond to Jen?
Yeah.
So Jen, we tried to show you the scenarios as a way to think about this. I think that if you can see, if we have this grant coming and future grants, it won't cost the board anything. They're likely to save $54,000 in the beginning, but I don't know how much offset of cost if we're able to keep our kids here in district and not send, so many out. Now, magnet schools are a thing, and we'll always have families that want to go to magnet schools, either in New London or, at the Marine Science School. They've got lots of different offerings. That will continue. But I feel like if we start sending them from the cradle to the career, and they stay with a magnet program like that, first of all, they can only accept so many. And, I couldn't have them all back either. So there's a nice collaboration with that. But there would be offset of us paying for costs that are, pretty high and significant, especially when it comes to special education. So to send them out versus keeping them here with us, there's definitely a cost avoidance in that area. And so I think long-term down the road, this plan services our children, makes it competitive for families in Groton to want to stay here and have their children from preschool and through all of our schooling. So, and then if we do have to give a partial tuition and have a care for kids that would help for our kids who were in need on a sliding scale, then that could be something, and that would cost the district $126,000. Yeah, and Shannon has something to add.
So I think when we start talking about tuition, I think it can be a little confusing, and we start sounding like we're offering a sort of typical private preschool program or a daycare program. We're talking about providing the best public school education that we can to this age group, which I believe we're responsible for. So it's just another potential revenue source, but I don't want us to get confused. We're currently offering a preschool, public school education. We're not switching to becoming like a preschool or daycare center.
And I would say there are also cost avoidances down the road, and I think, Adrian, you even mentioned that, with, potential, whether it's special education needs or other resource tiered intervention needs that kids would have. Not that this is the magic bullet and just the 4-year-old program is going to do the trick, but it could absolutely help our kids leverage the curriculum in the upper grades, in the kindergarten, first, second, third, and so on.
Yeah, I definitely, like I said, I definitely can see that, because there's a continuation, and then the kids who aren't going into a pre-K, I don't think I at least, I'll speak for myself, I'm not doubting the need, I'm just doubting the affordability for the district. Mm-hmm. So, so we just need to make sure that, whatever we're going to present to the other bodies within our town, that we can fully demonstrate the benefits to the population, and whatever cost increases would come, that, or maybe not, because the grant will continue. So, but they need to at least be presented with that information. If we continue to receive grant from the state, no impact. If we lost a grant, these would be the consequences: loss of services that we just previously established, increase to taxes, it just needs to be presented in that manner. Like, these are the options, and these could be the potential impacts to the town. That's all. That's the only place I'm coming from.
So, Sam?
So doing some quick calculations, a school bus is about $457.
Per day?
Yep.
We would need a couple of more school buses likely.
Depending upon enrollment, yeah. You have to decide how many you want to put on how many 4-year-old kids you want to put on a bus.
But they're going to one place instead of multiple places, so we'd have to do the math. We'd have to do the problem.
All right. I mean, I'm just going to say that I'm in full support of this, and I would like to see that if down the road we did lose funding, which hopefully we wouldn't, that we would find other efficiencies in our budget to cover this, because I really feel like this is setting the foundation for learning, and for a lot of kids that we know are disadvantaged from the start are going to end up in this program. It's going to be hard to say if we're going to save a lot of money in supports in the early childhood later on when they get into kindergarten to 5th grade. But I think we could also say that we're probably understaffed and underfunded in supports that we really need for those kids already. So maybe it will just make those supports that we already have in place more effective. And I think that this can do a lot for our district. I know we're focusing on basically, $600,000. I mean, which is certainly a lot of money. But I think that the benefit from this money could be huge for our district and for those families and students that are really caught in disadvantaged families to start, and they have a hard time, getting ahead in life, and this can really do a lot for that. So regardless of funding, I am in support of this program, and I appreciate the administration, all the teachers, and everything you've done to bring this to us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea?
Totally in support of what Adrian just said. For the Board of Education, and the Board of Finance, and should be the needs of the students, the children, who come first, over any other consideration that we have. Okay?
And we will do our due diligence in seeking these grants, believe me. We've got really a good talent pool here, and a lot of perseverance, and we've been known to do this, and we will continue to do this.
Mr. Chair, could I make a comment from the teachers?
Yes.
So the teachers have done some research. Our preschool teachers, we have 4 of them here tonight, and they've found that parents earn significantly more, around 20 to 22% more per year, due to being able to increase their work hours and career continuity due to full-day childcare. Families save billions annually on out-of-pocket childcare expenses, freeing up income for other needs. So there is a long-term impact in terms of a short-term impact in terms of both parents. Most families have both parents working, and they need to be able to work full-time and not leave work to have to, drive their child midday to another program. So that's a really significant benefit of a full-day program. Thank you.
All right, yeah, thank you. Again, giving kids that really need a little bit of extra support, some support. And another thing that we haven't really talked about, but we know that our existing schools are at capacity, the elementary schools, and we're going to be picking up a few classrooms in Mystic River and Thames River in the Northeast. Can you talk about what we need, why we need those additional spaces in those schools? Can anybody speak to that?
Well, I can say that they are to capacity. I've done lots of walkthroughs, on a weekly basis through all the schools, and knowing that we do have some children that have additional needs, and this would be able to provide extra space in some of those other schools so that the weight of the world wouldn't be taken, at Mary Morris and Thames River. It absolutely frees up Mary Morrison right now in the beginning year, and with their ABA programs, I've already talked to the principal about having some of the early childhood programs all on that first floor, which really wish we had done in the beginning, but it wasn't designed like that. So they could be there with all the resource people. So you would have your K1, and I think 2, I'm not sure, at least K and 1 on that first floor, including the ABA kids.
That would be in Mystic River?
At Mystic River. So that would be an automatic, real great opportunity for the kids, for the teachers, for the principal, and it would alleviate some room upstairs so he could have a science, like all the other schools have a science lab, and he could do something based on their theme in one of the rooms on the upper floor. And then, depending on if this plan grows through grants and opportunities, and our 3-year-olds come over from Thames River, same thing to be true, that it'll give more space for the themed approach and classrooms. We don't know what's going to happen with the Navy and the Columbia class and the submarines. We keep hearing that they're building a lot at EB and that these families are coming. I know that they can't park the Columbia class, they're too big, so they have to go somewhere else. But at least, we have people rotating in and out. And so, we could get, we're having a submarine come in the spring, and, they probably will be mostly at Thames River and at Charles Barnum, and there's really no room. Charles Barnum is totally full. Thames River may be able to hold a few, but to have a few extra classrooms in both of those schools would be great.
Yeah, at Charles Barnum, we are utilizing the portable classroom for music and for an academy classroom. And we did try to include on the slide the housing developments that are going up. There's a lot of apartment buildings that are going up. I think there's even more planned in terms of having more affordable rentals for families. And we are seeing that start to trickle down in terms of more students registering.
All right. And then I'll just follow up on that, and then Mike and Mitch. The other thing that we had talked about a little bit as a board, we haven't actually voted or discussed the class sizes, but there has been some talk that those early elementary classes are very full. I think the elementary schools in general average at least 20 kids per class. Like even higher than the high school. So we really could use a little bit of space to ease up on that load.
I agree.
Mike?
I didn't, I think this was a report presentation. We strayed well into discussion, right? So I really thought that this should be better later in the agenda when we're discussing it in new business. That said, I do want to point out that, as I did last time we talked about this at a Cal, that from October last year to this year, elementary school student population has gone down. I think it's about 141 students. And so, we are having a decline in population. Groton overall has, particularly in the younger people that would be at school. And then I had the question, I know why Charles Barnum was brought up. I do agree that it's at capacity. I can see that because many students have to go out to language schools just to have that be workable. But this plan, early childhood programs at Charles Barnum right now, right? So that seems like that's kind of off point. And so what I'm saying here is that, and I'll just say something. My point in the email about the motion being about the grant, my main concern is that we need to move that process along. So it gets to town council, RTM, you kind of build in 2 months, and then you need some certainty if you're going to act on this to get things up and ready for next year. So that was my motivation for leading this meeting to approve the grant. But then as it goes up, I really think it's important just to emphasize the strengths and stick to what's directly relevant and supported, and then have the full cost costs that might come up, like transportation, things like that. One of the biggest strengths here is that we're moving from half-day to full-day education, and that the increase in student contact hours is a big deal. That could vault us forward in terms of like core learning, that I think is a challenge for our school system, and at the earliest years has that big impact. And then the other part is it's hard to find money to refurbish aging buildings, and this is an opportunity to do that. So.
And there's a second one, too, Jim's investigating for more.
Well, the state has contacted school districts and requested information about additional capital expense needs. So we would talk about that.
Mitch?
That was for my question.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much.
We're going to stay for a little bit for the vote, if that's okay.
The vote will be about the funds, accepting the funds, it sounds like. Is that what the board is going to do?
We'll have to, if somebody makes a motion to amend that. Yeah, if somebody makes a motion to amend that, then yes. All right, report and information from staff. Sam, Director of Finance.
No, that's...
Thank you for the, I appreciate it.
Facilities, finance.
You did it right, because Sam wants to go first.
No, I've been wanting that job for a long time. I'd like to handle the money. I'm the Director of Facilities, and that's the report I'll give, in a short report tonight, because I just got notice that the container for robotics is on 95. It will be here in 45 minutes, so I want to be there when it's delivered to make sure that it gets delivered in the right place. It was supposed to be here on December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and I don't know what the date is now, but it's on 95 now and should be here within about 40 minutes. So I'll give you the quick report, and that is that the storage container will be placed in the parking lot between Fitch High School and Groton Middle School. The parking lot actually belongs to the Groton Middle School property. However, we had permission from the town to place it, removing, I think, 5 parking spots there. So there are still plenty of parking spots at high school for students and staff. Secondly, I want to report, earlier I reported to the Facilities Committee on the HVAC testing that the state required, or has required. And initially, the state required that we test all buildings every 5 years. But then when districts complained that it was too expensive to do that, they said that we only have to do 20% of our buildings per year. So last year we did 2 buildings. This year we're going to do 2 more buildings. Last year it cost us about $60,000 to do the testing at Northeast Academy and Catherine Kolnaski. And the reason that I want to do those first was because we continue to remediate our humidity issues in that building through active dehumidification. And what that simply means is that we run the boilers to dry out the air during the summer while we're running the air conditioning. So these 2 buildings are on the list for Mr. Bird has them on the list to go out to bid, to have those units replaced with dehumidification in the new units. Should that go out? I think it's going to go out this year, I hope. I'll be talking further with Mr. Bird on that. So the testing that we had at Northeast and CK showed that there were some adjustments that needed to be made regarding getting fresh air into the building in some units. There was a unit at one of the buildings, and I believe it was Catherine Kolmaski, that was actually, the vents were actually screwed shut. And when I amazingly looked at some of the other units, and they have the same screw holes in the same places, so apparently when they did when the buildings were built and they did the testing on these units, they actually never removed the shipping screws out of that particular unit. So we did that, and our staff has made the adjustments on the other items. There were also some exhaust fans that needed repair. There were some belts that were broken, and actually a couple of motors that were replaced as well in the exhaust fans. So that was all completed during last April break. This year, I sent out to bid to do Fitch High School and Charles Bonham because they were the next two oldest schools I wanted to get done. The bid came in at about $120,000 plus, and so we reevaluated the situation. And because we're looking at Mary Morrison potentially for an early childhood center, we're going to keep Charles Bonham on the list and put Mary Morrison on the list. I've already contacted the contractor, and so they will be doing the testing at those two schools during winter break this year. So we went from $120,000, so we're at about about $47,000 to get those two schools done.
This was a good idea from legislation. It just came with an expense, so we call it unfunded mandates. It's a good thing, but we do have to pay for it.
The container for robotics, the last thing I'll mention is, I don't know if anybody's been in the garage at the high school since robotics started moving in, but you can get from one end of the room to the other end. However, this container is necessary, and the staff are waiting for it so that they can move lots of items outside of the building into the container because it's not used on a daily basis or necessarily in the earlier part of of their project. So they will move things back and forth, and that would be it for now. So any questions that you have, I'd be happy to try and answer.
All right. Jay, then Mitch.
Yeah, Sam, I don't want to keep you with that incoming delivery, but do we have any good news about the Charles Bonham roof?
It was done.
We submitted these.
We submitted it in those first 10 days, and we have not heard back anything otherwise, but they did get it submitted.
Okay, so now we're just waiting for
We're waiting for the state to give us a date to go up there and meet with them, yes.
Okay.
Mitch?
From a ventilation engineer, okay. Is it possible, do they do a vent balance on the building? To make sure that you're getting the proper flow, relative humidity, temperature, things like that? Is that
Yes.
what they're doing?
Yes, sir.
Is it possible that when those screws were left in, they were left in intentionally to keep those?
Not according to the report.
Okay. And you're also checking for particulates, I guess, in there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Is it Mr. Gear that does that for us?
No, it's Fuss & O'Neill is the main company, and Automated Building Systems runs. They have our computer system that actually runs the system. Our guy runs it, but they're the company that has the system.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Does someone regularly go in and clean this? Because from somebody who does ventilation systems on submarines, we find at the time the crew doesn't clean the vents.
We just had 2 years ago, we had the company come in and do the vents at both CK and Northeast Academy, so I do that every few years. So that'll be coming up in the next year or so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for looking.
Take a picture of it.
Get that.
Sherry.
All right. Now, the Director of Finance. Rita.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so on the agenda here, the general fund financials. The only thing I want to discuss with the financials is that we just recently, over the past week, are actually using our financial system automatic encumbering for hourly employees. In the past, they've done it manually. So the reason I'm bringing that up is because you'll see on the salary line, the 100s, it looks like it's over. I'm not too concerned about that yet because I want to do a review of all of the encumbrances line by line, which we need to do because budget season's here as well. So I know you might have had questions about that line, but as you'll see in my notes, in the detail, I showed what lines we're going to be reviewing in more depth in the next month. So that's the only thing I wanted to point out as far as the encumbrances. And does anybody have any questions?
And then the e-finance report is the pensionation.
Yeah, the last few pages of the report is the report that comes from the financial system.
In these year-to-date budgets are, that's the updated budget after the transfer?
Yes. So the original budget is obviously what was put into e-finance.
Yeah.
Yes, and the current budget is after transfers.
Mike?
The breakdown, at least a couple places you say in the notes needs encumbrance review. The ones they have right here, regular substitute, and I think adult education. But the regular substitute says it's year-to-date budget's like 186%, so that would be like a big cost overrun. But I assume since you say needs encumbrance review, that you don't expect that that's necessarily where we're at.
Yeah, it's really hard to encumber substitutes, especially if they're per diem, if they come in on a as-needed basis. So we really have to break down everybody and make sure we have the right number of days encumbered left. My staff are new at this, and we are using the system for the first time in many years. So they've had this non-salary encumbrance unchecked for years, and they've been doing it manually. I want to use the system the way it's designed, and hopefully it is to our benefit to use it that way. So that's why I put that as long as, and the adult ed as well. We have teachers that teach during the day and teach at night. So we're reviewing how many hours we have encumbered for their night school. I think it's too high, and that's why I put need review, because I think the encumbrance is too high. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And then the other one, I just noticed that I just saw it's down at the bottom of the page, I guess it's like health aides actually, is up, so 141% the year-to-date, versus the budget, and it looks like it's up by like 90,000 or so. I was wondering if there's an additional health aide that we didn't expect to have. It seemed like a person.
Yeah, I probably should have put needs encumbrance review on that one, because they are also hourly, and if we have high turnover, if people have come and go in the past month, you can get that crossover of they're getting their last paycheck and we're hiring another one to replace them. That happens with the aides. Any of the aides in here?
You did see that where there were people who had left, but
Yeah.
they were still, we were still thinking they were here.
So we need to,
Yeah, we have
like
to
I
go
said,
through
go
that.
line by line, position by position, to make sure that if they have left, the encumbrance is removed and the new person is encumbered. So there may be an extra one there. I'm not 100% sure yet until we go line by line, if that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And my only other one, I think you may have already answered it, but the first part of the attachment has kind of a nice-looking table, and then the next one looks like it's, from 20th century. Is that what goes to the town, or is that just, so it's all these?
Pentimation, that's from the...
Yeah,
So this is
pentimation.
our system,
Yeah.
finance. I know it says pentimation. That must have been their name prior.
Yeah.
This is actually what prints out from our financial system. This is not Munis. We're not with Munis yet.
We
Will
look
be
forward
soon.
to that.
And I do look forward to it because I feel like e-finance is not a good system for a Board of Ed. Not many, I think there's 5 in the whole state of Connecticut that use it. So we're just using it because that's what we have, I print that because to show you that the bottom line is the same in the system and it's not from an Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
But it does look better this way.
Yeah, so thank you. That's what I thought, is a different presentation of the
It is.
same information. I think it's just, you've made it people-friendly in the first
Yeah,
one.
the function, the only reason I gave you that one is because if I give you the one that I use for the nice, pretty one, that's 380 pages long because of page breaks and stuff on a PDF.
Yeah.
So this is consolidated, obviously.
Thank you.
I hope it helps. I just know that, you should see a report from the system as well. So I'm hoping that just showing you the short report, that it matches, helps your confidence in, like, my reporting, basically.
Yes, thank you.
Now, when you had Munis, did you use the Munis report for your board? Were they
I
used to
still
looking?
did a similar thing like
Yeah.
this because the Munis report is not as user-friendly when you look at it, unless you're working with it on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, you do expect to see the little tabs down the side with all the holes punched in it where you rip them off. Do we have any of those printers still?
Oh, no, we don't. We actually probably had, I think we found labels the other day that were those labels that you put into them. I remember the dot matrix, believe it or not.
Jay, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. And Rita, when you talk about confidence, we have, I for one, and I'm sure everybody else have, a lot of confidence, and I'm liking the way that the reporting is coming out. I think it's much easier to understand the trends, and so we thank you for that. And I do know that, they wanted you to also include the system generated, so I understand that, but as Mike said, the other one's a little more user-friendly. I did have some questions about the transfers needed, and I'm just curious, we can't go through everything line by line tonight, but is that something maybe that we can bring to finance about what ideas you have about where these might be transferred from? I'm just a little concerned about things like transportation and those transfers, because they're a little bit larger. And are you thinking, based on our having met with the CPA, about moving them more toward the end of the year than monthly? Or what is your thought on that?
Well, I definitely want to keep the transfers monthly. What I'm still up in the air about is whether or not you want to see all transfers. If you want to see all transfers, I will start doing that. What I have been doing is what the policy says, and I know it's been recommended that we update the policy because state statute says that you cannot go over by major line item, which is this first page, major line item. By the end of the year, you cannot have a negative in a major line item, even though you have positives in the other lines. So the current budget transfer policy says by function, and that's what I've been giving you. But I can give you every single one. It's just it's a lot of transfers. I'm just going to give you a heads up. It was a lot of transfers in Wyndham. Groton is not different. And I think because we are just starting that process in Groton, I think it will decrease next year, definitely, because we're also transferring things from wrong objects or wrong functions. So I don't think you're going to have those next year. So I think it will decrease, but it's entirely up to you. I'd like to bring them every month, just so you see consistency and you see what's going on. So in the January Finance and Facilities meeting, I can bring all transfers, even the ones you don't have to approve, and have approval total. I'm not sure what the whole board wants, but I'm willing to do what you guys need.
What kind of time do you think that would cost you? Because I know we're going into budget season, and we've got still new staff.
Yeah,
ones being hired.
I'm trying to decide, because if you want me to bring all transfers, I think I need to revise from day one. If we just keep bringing you by functions, at least until the policy is amended, I can do that as well. Because it's going to take a few months to bring that policy to the committee and have it amended. So
Yeah, if the board wants to change the existing policy.
right. So I mean, I can just keep bringing the functions, but my concern is, as was it Jay pointed out, that it's confusing. You're not going to see every single line unless I bring you all budget transfers. Mm-hmm. And if you're concerned about a certain area of how much it's changing, from like transportation or, whatever line you're looking at, unless you're seeing all budget transfers, you won't see the exact number.
Right, yeah, I understand. Jen?
Maybe we could have this as a working item at the Finance and Facilities meeting. I don't necessarily want to have Rita do additional work, especially if we're going to get to the same place. So maybe the committee can work on it, review it, get Rita's recommendation, and then that can be presented to the board. So we still have a lot on our agenda, and I just want to make sure, with budget season coming on, we're getting the reports now that let's, don't add unnecessary burden. At this point, I'm not saying it is unnecessary, I'm just saying at this point, let's focus in on the budget and all the other stuff that we need to accomplish, and any support items that Rita and her team needs to do to review not only the DREAM, but also the Early Childhood Center. So there's a lot here, and looking at transfers that are not part of our policy, let's just not bring that up right now.
Yeah, I agree. We can talk about that in Finance and Facilities. Any other questions about Attachment 2 before we move on? All right, I think we can move on to the MDG report.
The only thing I wanted to point out with the MDG reports that you will see was the MDG reports trends in claims only versus the Anthem renewal rates. It's not the fund balance. It's not, any of those sorts. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's what it's comparing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it is comparing, the actual claims to the Anthem rates.
And this is through the end of October?
And this is through, yes. I have not received November's yet.
Yep. All right. Jay?
Thank you. Obviously the trend right now is good, but you just never know from month to month. You touched on, Rita, the fund balance. I'm wondering, have we received a recent report from the town on the reserve?
I do receive monthly very short spreadsheets that have the fund balance on them. I think it's around 4 million, the last report, but I'm not sure if that was October. I think it was October, yeah.
Okay.
Is that
And,
something we could put out in finance and facilities?
I didn't definitely bring that to finance and facilities.
That would be great. And of course, that includes, it's combined with OPEB, right?
No, actually, OPEB is separate.
Oh, they have separate?
Yeah, I have separate, I can bring both of those to finance facilities if you need me to. I think it's a good idea.
I personally would like to see that and see where that's trending, because that's going to impact our budget. As to whether or not the OPEB balance is healthy and what we might need to contribute to that. So it'd be good to see where we're going in that direction.
And actually, yeah, I actually have a meeting with MDG, I think it's the 18th, for the budget, like a projection.
Oh, good.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, no other questions? Thank you, Rita.
Thank you, Rita.
And we all appreciate you. All right, next order of business is committee reports. Policy. Mike.
Yes, so we met last Tuesday, December 9th, and we discussed some of the items that are going to be on the agenda today. So one of them was the curriculum design and development policy, and the other three are library policies. And I should say the committee is newly constituted. Andrea and Sean are the continuing members, and then I came on as chair.
All right, great. Curriculum, we had a meeting on December 3rd. We talked about the curriculum development process. We also discussed reviewing quality points or weighted grade scales and how that's done in the high school, because it's with all of the different offerings that we have, it's a complicated system up there. We also, curriculum development, which we're going to have a policy voting on that tonight. And then there was committee recommendations for board action. One of those we've already discussed. It was just the AP and IB grading. So we discussed that last week with Matt Brown. And then there was a recommendation for board discussion of the future world language offerings. So that'll be a recommendation for a committee to the whole to come.
Yes, a quick question.
Sure.
Do we know who's continuing on the curriculum committee? I don't know what the curriculum committee will be in terms of membership.
I don't know yet.
Okay.
So I don't know if Bev's assigned all of the spots at this point. So. What's that? Oh. All right. Finance and facilities.
I can speak to that for now. December 1st, we held a meeting, and it was Dean Antipas's last, meeting as the Finance and Facilities Chair. Also, we had a report from Rita. Part of it was was shared just recently. Sam also discussed the robotics container, which he also spoke to moments ago. We also discussed 2 spreadsheets, actually one more so. It's all of the open maintenance items that are at the schools, and that's going to be a part of ongoing to make sure that our schools are maintained. And then we sort of talked about security, but we really didn't because it was security related. Didn't want to expose some of the security items that are being done in the school. So we had that conversation regarding the facilities portion of it. And basically that was it at a high level.
All right, great. Thank you, Jen.
Welcome.
Communications, Jay?
Yes, communications met on December 4th. We received an update from Rebecca and from Anne Marie about everything that they've been involved with, along with community events and family engagement. We also had a discussion regarding the formation of a parent community council. And I just want to say that if anybody has a chance to review that meeting or at least look at the PowerPoint, there was a lot going on with communications. When that committee was first set up many years ago with Gary Baker and Lee White and the rest, and they said, you know, we wish that we could get the word out there more, and that was formed, and we hired Rebecca as the communications coordinator. We've come a long way, and I hope everybody has a chance to review everything they've done, and maybe I'll send an email out to everybody, but it's well worth the entire board reviewing what's going on with communications. Thank you.
Jen, do you have a comment?
I was part of that committee, and I just wanted to give a shout out to administration, Susan, Anne Marie, and I believe they were the two main individuals who are, attending and going to the elementary schools, the middle school and the high school, meeting with various constituents and getting feedback. I know most people will say, hey, that's part of their job, but it just went above and beyond. Like Jay said, if you listen in to hear what Anne Marie described that they're doing that is slightly different from prior years, kudos to the team. Just wanted to give a shout out for that.
Yeah, and Rebecca also, she does a great job, so we do appreciate her. All right, athletic fields, that would be Ian, right? Oh, he's not here. And learn, which I think is Beverly, who is not here. So, all right, next item, consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion. Points of clarification will be allowed. So, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
All right, moved by Mike. Second, anyone?
If no one seconds, I can second.
All right, Jen. All right, any clarifications to the minutes? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Jay and Andrea, did I get you guys?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, and I am also in favor, so opposed, abstentions, which I think I counted, so I think we got everybody in. All right. Would everyone be all right if we just switch up new business and old business for one item so we can discuss the Early Childhood Center?
Yes.
And we've got a bunch of teachers here waiting for discussion here. All right, so the one item we're going to talk about now, discussion and possible action regarding the Early Child Center at Mary Morrison. So would anyone like to make a motion, start discussion?
I'll make the motion.
Sure.
I'll second.
All right. Well, he's got to say the motion.
My motion would be that we consider accepting the grant and the program separately.
All right. That is related to the item, although I'm not sure. Mike, do you know, are we allowed to have a motion that's not the one listed to start discussion? I hate to use the rules, but I think Joan's online. I don't know if she
I
can
was
answer
wondering that. I was wondering that too. I mean, aren't these more of guidelines? Just watch Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are under the same, we're under the same action item.
To answer your question, Adrian,
Yeah.
then put main motion on the floor. Mitch can make his amendment thereafter.
Yeah. All right.
That's my understanding.
That's what I was thinking. So would someone like to make the main motion, and then we can talk about changing it?
The main motion.
All right. All right. And is there a second on that?
Second.
All right. So do you want to say the motion just so we know what we're talking about, Mitch?
Motion is to approve the Early Childhood Center at Mary Morrison.
All right. All right. Thank you. So Mitch, and then who seconded that?
Andrea.
Andrea. All right. All right. Thanks, Andrea. All right. Discussion.
I was wondering, I believe it's the Smart Start grant, but I was wondering if there's an exact amount. So I was just wondering about specifics of the grant, so if we were to make a motion about the grant itself, that we get that right.
Yeah, so for 2026, it's $600,000 for the capital improvements.
With more to come.
But that's the Smart Start grant?
Yep, from the Office of Early Childhood.
And then when does the other portion?
We wouldn't receive that until next year.
Okay.
So that operation,
Operating expenditures, yeah.
so, okay, so that's interesting.
So it's two separate,
But we've been awarded it?
approved for it.
Could we,
And as far as the capital grant goes, we, as I mentioned in our correspondence, we have not received a grant award letter yet, and it has not been deposited in EGMS.
so,
We've been approved for.
so it's 600,000 for the capital improvement, and it's 600,000 operational.
Yeah.
There's one proposal, right, or?
Yes,
Okay.
but well,
But-
kind of.
Okay, I got you. It's one process.
Yeah.
A tied process,
Yeah,
right?
so we initially, the application that I sent you, we applied for this year's funding,
Yeah.
and then we were contacted via email to indicate what we are applying for next year also. And so we responded to that, and there's been correspondence back and forth regarding that. I think I told you there was a change to the amount that was allocated per classroom. So that's all been approved, but we haven't received an update since then.
For-
Other than the correspondence we've had via email. Yeah, but we've been told that they're in the process of setting up the fund transfer to EGMS, and that it should be available anytime now.
Okay.
So at this time, we've only actually received a grant for $600,000 for the
For the, yes.
facilities and the
Yes.
operations.
Yes.
We don't have that sealed yet, that we're going to receive that.
Well, we've been told that if we go ahead with the capital expenditures, then we will receive the operating expenditures. But if we don't,
Yeah.
then that would change our application.
Yeah.
I think because we weren't planning on opening the center until next year.
Yeah, because that would be for 2026.
Right. For the new school year, the children would arrive.
Yeah, so at this point, really, the only thing I think we should approve, if you're going to accept a grant, is for the capital improvements.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we can always bring back the
Yeah,
second
we'll have
phase
to bring back the second
and,
one.
and the
Yeah.
plan to be approved.
So I'd like to offer an amended motion
Yeah.
to approve the acceptance of $600,000 for capital improvements supported by the Smart Start grant from the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood.
I'll second that.
All right. Any other discussion on the amendment? So are we also going to be voting on approving the Early Childhood Center tonight, or do we have to, like, as part of the same motion? So I think we would be, as it's stated right now.
Well, I amend the motion to that language, and
Oh, all right, amend the main motion to that, all right.
and that maybe we could add to it. It is for improvements at Mary Morrison, so that could be added if someone. I mean, I don't want to amend my amendment, but I could, because we could say at Mary Morrison School at the end of that, because it is fundamentally tied to that.
Right.
So I can't remember who was second, but we could add at Mary Morrison School. Or put it in somewhere. Andrea would know exactly where to put things grammatically.
Yeah.
Is thoroughly confused.
So you want to just restate the motion, and then we'll see if
Yeah, let me write
it's
it.
a second.
Yeah, so let me revise. To accept the, I move that we amend it, the motion to say, we accept the $600,000 Smart Start grant from the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood to support capital improvements at Mary Morrison School.
Perfect.
All right. Now, second? You good with seconding that, Mitch? All right. All right. Any other discussion on the amended motion?
Said I was thoroughly confused. I thought we were, that there was going to be discussion on the original motion, but there wasn't. So, so now,
There can,
whether or not,
oh, yeah,
I'm
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. I should,
whether or not that motion is then set aside and now we're just voting on accepting the grant. Is that correct?
yes.
We're voting on that amendment.
We're
first.
voting on the amendment to accept the grant in support of the modifications at Mary Morrison.
And I think we'd have to vote on the amendment
Oh, I see.
and then
And then the-
discuss,
Okay.
and then vote on the
So,
actual.
yeah, we could go back to the, yeah. So we're just voting on that amendment for now.
All right, okay, thank you.
Yep. Jay, I see your hand up there, too.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, so we are voting tonight to accept the grant, and there is no, time is not of the essence to actually establish the program until we finish the rest of the due diligence, am I correct?
Yes. The plan was always, Jay, to take the time we needed to, and we asked to have the capital money first so we could make Mary Morrison new again, or like new, and, be a feasible site. And then the operation cost was to operate in the new facility. And we felt that was the best location to have it in one place.
Right.
And there was room. There was room there.
I just don't want there to be any confusion that we actually approved the final program, because we don't have all the information we need to do that.
Right. So
But
we're doing
I fully
it,
support that we should accept the grant and continue our due diligence, and then go to the town and go through that process before. I just don't want to mislead the public that there's going to be a program and you can sign up for it, and then find out that we, do not get the necessary approvals, or other things come up, unforeseen circumstances. So I would support just voting on the grant tonight.
Any other discussion? All right, so I will take a vote in favor of the amendment, or the amended motion.
I think, I might be wrong on this, Ian might know. I think we have to vote on the amendment and then vote on the amended motion.
Oh, yeah,
I think
I'm
that's how
sorry.
it works.
I meant to say the amendment, yes, sorry. So,
I'm not sure.
all right, so vote in favor of the amendment which is effectively the amendment replaces the original motion, correct? Is that?
Yeah, it would in this case.
That's how I think it should work. Like, if Mike's motion is approved, then that's what we're voting on again.
Yes, we'll vote on the amendment, and then that.
The second vote is voting on the main motion as amended.
Yeah.
Combines the two.
All right.
It's old style politics, we vote twice.
Yeah, no, I get it. So, all right, all in favor of the amendment?
Well, could we just read it again for clarification?
Sure.
Good thing you wrote
You
it
good to read it again, Mike?
So that we clarify.
I did not write it down, but this is. I did not, but I believe I've got it. To accept the $600,000 grant, the $600,000 Smart Start grant from the Connecticut Office of Early Childhood to support capital improvements at Mary Morrison School.
That's what I wrote down.
I wrote down too.
All right, so all in favor of that? And if you're online, if you can maybe raise your hand or answer one at a time. So, all in favor?
Aye.
So we got Mike, Mitch, Jay, Sean, Jen are in favor. Andrea, are you in favor?
Still thinking, if I vote yes for this, that precludes the original one that we're voting on.
It amends it, Andrea, so it's like a first step that we're going to do the construction, and then we'll come back to it with more information for the full plan.
All right.
So you're in favor? All right, and I'm also in favor. So I believe that's all of us, but just in case I miss somebody. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, the amendment passes. So now we're back to the main motion that's been amended to what Mike just read. So any more discussion on the main motion, the main amended motion? All right, so all in favor for the amended motion?
Aye.
All right. Mike? Mitch? All right. Andrea, are you in favor?
The same?
Yes, all right. Jay, Jen, Sean? Sorry, I need glasses. Sean, are you in favor of the, am I missing it up there?
No, he hasn't raised his
Yes,
hand.
I'm in favor.
All right. And I'm in favor as well. All right. Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so that passes 7-0.
So that can go to town council now, right? That's great.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
That's good.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Denise.
A little bit earlier tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so now we will go back to item number 1 under old business. So discussion and possible action regarding the approval of policy 6141, curriculum design development as a second reading. That is attachment 8. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Sheena.
So Anne Marie?
I think, should I make the motion? And I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think we'll end up seconding it probably, but because it's coming out of committee, it might not need that, but we'll just probably do it anyway.
All right, yeah.
So I move to approve policy 6141, curriculum design development as a second reading.
Anyone want to second that one?
Second.
All right. All right, discussion. So, Anne Marie, do you want to kind of give us a little rundown on this one?
Okay, so as Adrian just spoke about, this is come back to for second read. And when it was here last time, in full transparency, there was some confusion about this policy. So I went back to the curriculum committee with this, and beforehand, I watched the meeting from September, and there was some confusion about it because I was not correct originally in the revision that I had brought forward, and Mike, I think, had remembered things one way, and I had remembered things another way, and it turns out that I believe neither one of us were correct. So full transparency, I'm coming forward with the revision as it's written here. It's now correct as I had originally proposed in September, and I think that's what happens when you get old, and there's a long time in between a meeting that takes place on September 3rd, and then it comes forward to the full board. I believe that was sometime in late November or early December. So the revision that I'm proposing here is that that step number 3 of this process is eliminated, and I believe I touched on this last time. Currently, the process the policy as written. The process takes about 18 months for a teacher, if they're going to bring forward a new course, from the proposal, going to the superintendent or the assistant superintendent for approval, all the way through the sixth step in the process of going to the full board for final approval. And in talking with teachers and administrators and getting advice about, what would be helpful for this, and consulting other members of the curriculum committee, for example, Dr. Ackerman, who's been a longtime member of this committee, former chair, I'm coming forward and asking for step number 3 to be eliminated. The reason for that is that, the curriculum committee has an opportunity to review the course proposal, has an opportunity to, interact with the teacher, or, the teachers bringing forward the proposal, seeing that course, and then, of course, the full board will have an opportunity to review the course and make a final recommendation or have final approval. There is another revision that was talked about at the policy committee, I believe, or by both curriculum and policy. The first one is very minor, changing the word subcommittee to committee, and then in that second step, changing for review and recommendation. And then finally, in step number 5, changing, and this is a recommendation by Mike, Board of Education Curriculum Committee will review and make a recommendation to the full board for action. I believe Dr. Ackerman also liked that change. In the past, that wasn't something that was made explicit in terms of, the curriculum committee making their recommendation about that course very explicit. Yes, we're recommending that this course be adopted or not be adopted, but we felt like that was a very important change that be made as a part of this, revision.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Ackerman. Does anyone have questions about what I'm bringing forward as a part of this second read? I think the other thing I want to note is, while I believe this is going to shorten the process a little bit, it will maintain very specific guidelines so that, there will be, and the process will, I think, maintain continuity and make sure that, courses aren't just popping up out of nowhere. There will be many steps to the process and guardrails, and, we'll make sure that there are standards for our curriculum, K through 12, pre-K through 12.
All right, Mike?
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. an overview too. I just want one small change when this gets approved. Just we'll renumber things. It was good to have the current numbers for reference, but if step 3 is eliminated, then 4 becomes 3, 5 becomes 4, and 6 becomes 5.
Yeah, we left that because we wanted to make sure that everyone saw, the steps in the process, but absolutely, we would renumber it if that was the case.
Yeah, and I don't think that needs a real amendment, but just pointing it out.
All right. Any other questions? I think Jen's got her hand up. Yeah.
I do have a question. How many months do you think it will shorten the process by? And if a teacher submits an idea, so beginning to end, so will they be able, if they submit something this school year and it goes through the curriculum review and approval process, will they be able to have it in place, let's say, the next year?
It's difficult for me to say right now, Jen, if that will be the case. I think it's going to depend on what month they bring it forward. But I do believe it's going to, saving that step of going back to the committee of the whole for the approval of the drafting will save some time.
And I'll add to that, there's sort of an existing procedure, there's a hidden step because the committee whole can't really approve it, so then it comes to a meeting like this, the regular Board of Education meeting, where then we'd have to do it too. So sometimes you can have that misalignment where it costs a hidden extra month in there as well.
And there are some curriculum that is not written by the teacher. For instance, IB has specific curriculum. Project Lead the Way has specific. So there are some that we really just receive, have you review, and there's no cost to it for our teachers going off to write it.
And I think one of the other points was the teachers don't make a ton of money to write curriculum. I think you could say at the least, and with the current policy, they have to come before either the full board or the committee 4 times as part of that writing the curriculum, and this would get that down to three nights that they have to spend with us. So although we might miss the teachers, it is a lot more work for them.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any other discussion?
I'll just say that was a big consideration, the pressure on the teacher's time.
Yeah. All right. So all in favor of... oh, wait. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong one. All of the favor to approve policy 6141?
Aye.
So Jen... Jay, Andrea, Jen, Sean?
Aye.
All right, so all in favor, opposed, abstentions? All right, so 7 to 0 to 0.
Or 8.
I think there's,
3.
are we missing 2? Oh, we're missing
1, 2,
Ian and
3,
Bev.
4. Oh, okay.
So, all right. Next item, discussion and possible action regarding the policy P6146, graduation requirements as a second reading. This is attachment 9. Anyone like to make that motion?
I move to approve policy P6146, graduation requirements, as a second reading.
Second. It's Andrea.
And I'll just say that this went through the policy committee before I came on. I am familiar with it from the curriculum committee. I know this is second reading, and I know the general idea of it is to, reduce ultimately the number of credits to get it closer to just what the state requires. But I'm unsure what changed with this draft between the first reading and the second reading. To me, it didn't seem like much, but if someone knows something that changed, that would be great to hear. I didn't look back at the policy meeting about this.
Do you know of any changes from the first reading?
I believe that Mr. Whitney noticed that there was inconsistency. I believe there was like something, there was a minor change. It was like a note of, I had mentioned someplace 120 hours one place and 200 minutes in the next one, and so I had to just make it consistent from one note to the other. But that was the only change from one
That's
place.
on page 7 of 9, I see the 120 total hours.
Yeah, and 6
Yes,
of 9 as well.
and 6 of 9.
6 of 9, okay.
I think I had it written in it as minutes in one place and hours in the next. But that I believe was the only change.
All right. I think the big changes, I'm still a little bit unsure, although I voted for it to get it out of the committee, for a few things. One, it seems like we added a credit in foreign language, or the board added a few years back. So the board probably had some thought behind why they wanted to bring it from 1 to 2 years of world language. This policy drops that back down to 1, which I can understand why and support, but I'd like to know why the board increased it in the first place, what their thinking was on that.
Yeah, I can speak to that, and I didn't go back and watch that meeting, but from what I have been told, there was an understanding at some point that the IB world program, the IB World Organization requires students to take more than 1 year of world language for their credits, but the IB World Organization, as a world organization, does not get into the U.S. system of credits. That's not something that they dictate. Obviously, as a world organization, they don't get into, again, the Carnegie unit or the American system. So they're not going to get into graduation requirements or or dictate how many credits, a particular U.S. high school asks students to take. So I did do research on that just to verify. They ask students to take language A and language B, the language A being their English, and language B being their world language choice, but would not require students to take 2 years of a language, something like that.
All right, but at this point, we would have, it's not like the whole school is IB school, so
Right.
we would have made this policy for the whole school just to fit the...
I'm not sure why that would have been done.
Yeah. So there's a few other things, and I would personally, I think out of the curriculum committee, I had questions, and I'd kind of wondered what the rest of the board's thoughts were on a few things. One, citizenship is also listed in the state, and I had notes of the statutes, but just as social studies. So really, global citizenship is just a social studies. So should that say 3 years of social studies, including global citizenship, or I just don't know if that should be in the same category. And then also, can you explain? And quite honestly, what I would like to do is discuss this in a COW to kind of go through, because there's a lot of changes in here. But I was going to ask if you could explain the mastery-based, because we're allowed to use 1 credit for mastery-based.
Yes.
And to me, I went and read that statute again today.
Yep.
And it really seems like they were talking about at the end of high school.
Actually, it does not have to be at the end of high school. It could be, there's flexibility. I mean, you weren't, the whole board was not a part of this, but at the curriculum committee, we talked about this extensively, had an entire presentation about this. And I have a pretty extensive background in this. I was asked to be on the state committee when it was formed. I forget the year, but was fortunate to be asked to be a part of that committee several years ago when the mastery-based, at the time called Capstone Committee, was created. So the state gave a lot of flexibility to districts because it is an unfunded mandate. While many districts offer it in the senior year, it does not have to be completed during the senior year. For example, my own child, when she was a freshman, completed her mastery-based student experience. So, just had an opportunity to do it, completed it as a freshman, had that requirement off her plate. And that was with the West Hartford Public Schools. So they offer their students are able to complete it at any point during their 4-year experience.
All right.
And I don't think that's unique to West Hartford, but it's just an example that shows that it could be done at any point.
And actually, junior and senior year are pretty tight anyway. It's almost better if they get it done.
Yeah, which was her thinking at the time.
Yeah. So why would we so I couldn't find anywhere else except for these that were like IB Personal Project, Naval Science, Global Citizenship, where we're requiring specific curriculum.
Yeah, that's listed there because the last time I came to the full board, one of the individuals on this board noticed that it wasn't articulated out this way, and naval science was one of the ways, for example, that was one of the options that met the mastery-based learning experience, which is why I revised the document to reflect the naval science. Naval science course there.
Why would we just not leave it as completion of mastery-based learning experience?
Again.
So why would we have to get? So what I'm thinking is, if a student came here and is late in his junior year or his senior year, would they then have to take the MYP Personal Project and Global Citizenship to graduate?
Yes. As it's right now. And in fact, this is not something that I added as a part of this requirement. This is something that the last time the graduation credits were revised, I don't know if this was part of the, when I'm looking back, it's part of the April 2024 or the March 2023, at some point, this is not part of the revision that I'm proposing. This is something that was part of one of those revisions. I don't know when that was. It predates my time here in Groton, but...
Oh, I see it in green. That's why I was thinking it was new.
No, the reason why it's here is, again, because when I brought this forward, back in December, whatever the first read was, it just said completion of mastery-based learning experience, and someone on this board said, you should make sure that you itemize because naval science also meets that requirement. You should make sure that you say it's the personal project or naval science. And then again, because global citizenship is the other half credit, I wanted to make sure that that was very clear. So I didn't want to kind of leave it just the personal project naval science 0.5. If I was looking at this as a parent, I'd say, well, what's the other 0.5 of the 1.0 credit?
I don't disagree with the logic. I just don't know that I support it.
That's fine. That's fine. I think that it makes more sense to put those two listed together, so that people understand what the full credit consists of.
Yeah.
So here you're saying you might want a little more flexibility there. Could that be handled by an asterisk at the end of completion of the mastery-based learning experience? And say something like, following this plan, or somewhere have an asterisk, or alternate, something saying or alternate completion, because I think there is even.
Yeah, personally, I would like to. So in that situation where junior came into the district, that there was more flexibility for the administration.
I feel like there.
But it doesn't say that.
There may be, but I don't want to answer that question here without talking to the school counselors or Mr. Brown. That's not something that I think should be added in the language. At this point, I don't feel like on ad hoc I should be adding language like this.
Yeah, so I recommend that we just send this to COW to get the
Wait a second.
full boards.
This policy we reviewed extensively at curriculum.
I raised the same concerns then, just to be fair. I did vote to support it to get the full board.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I need to advocate. We looked at this extensively at curriculum. It's come here for first read, and I feel like this is a new wrinkle in this. I have not changed, anything in terms of the personal project. We had an extensive presentation from the people who run the personal project. I feel like this is adding, or this brings up a question regarding the mastery-based learning experience, specifically, involving the personal project and what that requires, that I think is a new component or a new question regarding that. And I think that's not related to what I'm proposing here. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Jay and then Andrea.
One of the things that I guess I don't understand the I've used this phrase before, why time is of the essence, to pass this, and yet it doesn't take effect until, 2029? If we're honest and we say that what is the motivation to lowering our standards back to the state against what previous boards did? Is it to increase graduation rates? And if we're completely transparent and that's the motivation, why then would we wait until 2029 to implement it?
I believe that it was this board that asked me to look at the graduation requirements. So that's why, I went ahead and did that. I did an analysis of what was required by our board versus what was required by the State Department of Ed. That's when I noticed that we had 2 additional requiremements that were in addition, I guess, in excess. I had understood that those 2 credits that were in excess were the world language requirement and also 1 additional elective. And then I guess in response to your other, 2 other questions, I guess, were what's the urgency? There's only, in terms of the timeline, I wanted to, or Mr. Brown and I wanted to make a change that would be published in the upcoming program of studies, which is usually published in February. Certainly, if it does not impact the any classes until the class of 2029, that I believe is our current freshmen. And while this doesn't impact them, I guess, immediately, you always want to make sure that the students and their families are informed about, something that's going to impact their academic program. So although you can say that they have a couple of years before they graduate, they should be aware of any change that will impact them moving forward. So that was kind of our thinking. I guess you certainly, again, you can argue that it's going to take place in a couple of years, so it may not be something that is really urgent, but I would want to know if this was my student. And I would want to know if I were a student if there is certain things that were going to impact me in terms of what I needed to take versus what I didn't need to take. Same thing with if I were a school counselor. How is this going to impact the way that I am guiding the students and helping them to select their courses moving forward? There was one other question I believe that you asked, Jay, and I can't remember what it was.
What was the motivation behind it?
I think we did notice our accountability index was struggling. I think we do have students who struggle to meet those 2 extra credits, although we have many, many students who go beyond that. So yeah. I think there's no door closed on kids if they want to take more courses, if they want to take 4 years in a world language. They have that opportunity. So I think it's really for the ones who have a harder time and struggle to get those graduation requirements, and some of them may be our military kids moving in and out even though they have a compact, that it's very hard to go and be in 2 or 3 high schools in 1 4-year period. I know that because of family experience. It's not easy. So I think we're sensitive to that.
And this is something that, again, once the board asked me to look into this, I went to the pitch leadership team immediately and said, what do you think? They were in support of this reduction. Mr. Brown did some research for me with the help of the school counselors. They let me know how many students were not meeting the, I guess you'd say, not meeting the expectations in world language classes specifically. Those students that tend to struggle, especially those students with special needs. I think we talked about this extensively. They tend to struggle in world language classes specifically. And again, we're in support of the reduction for world language for that reason. Now, electives, again, that's not something that necessarily kids tend to struggle in, but if we needed to make a reduction in credits, it would not be a significant impact for, instead of having students pick or select 4 electives, to take 3 instead. They just felt like that would be very minimal impact.
But it doesn't limit to them. They can take more if they choose.
All right, and I'm going to go to questions, but I just pulled up the other policy, so I'm just going to give a clarification. The existing policy does call for an MYP personal project in 26 and 27 anyway, that I'm just looking through. But the global citizenship is not in the existing policy. So I think it is effectively going from 3 to 3.5 social studies credits.
The global citizenship is in there. It may not be listed specifically as I'm writing, as I listed it. Again, I wanted to make sure it was very clear what that other 0.5 was.
Well, I'm just saying it's not global citizenship. We're calling out a specific curriculum, and it's not in the policy that's online anyway.
Yeah, but again, I want to make sure that I'm really clear that the students, that's the other 0.5 of what they currently take. And
yeah, so you're breaking the MYP into 2. The one MYP credit into 2 halves.
Into 2, because that's the way that the students take it currently. Now, again, you might have to look at that a little bit more closely, because depending upon the year in which students are, like if they're freshmen, juniors, sophomores, or seniors, like last year's students did not take global citizenship, but this year's students do. So depending upon what year you're looking at in that program, it may or may not be listed.
All right. Andrea?
Yes. If the high school counselors, the high school principal, and the assistant superintendent are telling us that we need to move on this in the best interest of children, and the superintendent, who was a military child herself, is telling us that this is particularly impactful for military children, then we need to move on this. The high school principal, the assistant superintendent, and the counselors are telling us that this is in the best interest of kids, and we need to move on this.
All right, thank you, Andrea. Jay?
I think Dr. Ackerman's point reinforces mine, and that is, if this is all such a great idea, I understand giving people 3 years' notice if we're increasing, but if we're decreasing, this may allow current students to take other classes that don't fall within the graduation requirements and allow them to have a more interesting high school experience that will increase our graduation rates at a quicker rate. And so if this is what everybody thinks is the best thing for us to ratchet back the 2 points from what we've done, and that it's done damage to the students, then absolutely, let's do it, and let's make it effective immediately and provide some relief. And again, nobody has really come out and specifically said it, but I'm pretty sure that the thought was this is going to increase graduation rates. So why wait? Again, give them notice if you're going to raise it. And I know the state is constantly tweaking, and they may come out next year and tell us to add another graduation requirement, but we can't wait around for them to fiddle with it. Let's give them the relief now and raise those accountability scores now.
Beverly? You're muted still if you're talking.
Me?
All right, we hear you now.
No, Jen White had her hand up way before I did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jen?
Are you sure, Beth? Because I had my chance. I support what Jay said. If we're going to take it down, let's take it down next year. But I support everything else, how it was written, how it was presented, everything that came out of committee, and how it was brought forward. With the exception of that, let's take it down now. So thank you for the presentation and the second read.
All right, now Beverly. Sorry.
Thank you. I support too what Jay's saying, that if we're going to reduce the credits, let's do it now. But I just want to be mindful, everybody. I think this referral came from Mike Whitney, where we were looking at data, and he realized that Groton had 27 credits, and the state only had 25. And I want to say too, it's a shame that Anne Marie went through all this work, something that we asked her to research, and now we're like acting like we didn't ask her to do this. So let's be mindful of all the time and effort she put into this, and not act like we didn't have anything to do with this, and now all of a sudden some of us are changing our mind. It's all right to change our mind, but maybe you might want to throw it back to committee and let committee of the whole, and let's hash it out at committee of the whole. But I really feel bad for Anne Marie. We asked her to look at this, and now we're like, do we want to have this? And blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's too bad. She wasted a lot of time doing this for us. But I support what Jay said, and I support going from 27 to 25 and how it's written. Thank you.
Anne Marie and then Mike.
I just want to note, I think everyone is making a lot of good points about the urgency of if it's going to help kids, that we should do it now. And we talked about that extensively, or I talked about that extensively with the Fitch leadership team. But we also did an analysis of that, and we found that there are students, especially our juniors and seniors, even our sophomores to a certain extent, that if we implement this now, it will negatively affect their program. They have already accumulated a certain number of credits, and it may cause them, some of them, because they're so far along, to graduate early, and it will, I think, really mess things up. And so that's why we very carefully, before I brought this forward, we went through several different scenarios with each one of the grade level groups, and we felt like the best group to put it in place with would be the freshmen, not to interrupt their program and disrupt things. And again, we felt like there may be a scenario where we had large groups of students graduating early, and it could really be disruptive in terms of our student groups and our programs. So I'm going to continue forward with the recommendation of class of 2029, moving forward. I think the best we could do is maybe with the sophomores, but again, we looked at that really closely because we also got really excited about the potential of making this change. But once we looked at it more carefully, we thought it could be detrimental.
Say something in. Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah, I just needed to know that.
Thank you. Mike, you got a question?
Yeah, I just want to say I do support, I will vote in favor of this tonight, and I do support the timeline, and thank you for looking into this policy and making the revisions. I came into it with a sense of urgency that I'm hearing as well, but if you change the requirements on students, even if it's relaxing them, that can create some chaos. And I don't want to unnecessarily make a hard job already harder for all our administration, all our guidance counselors, and everybody else. If they say this is the pace of change that we can sustain and they're behind it as well, I say move forward with it. This just is the pace of change, the reality of it going forward. I also think, as an aside, our last COW meeting, when Matt Brown talked about what interventions they're doing for people who are kind of in danger of graduation, I was very encouraged to hear that they're not just concentrating on seniors, they're starting the early signs on freshmen and tracking that through. And honestly, that'll probably have a bigger impact on those students and our graduation rates than this change will. This helps, but that'll be more impactful to individual students. So thank you.
Oh, Mitch, I'm sorry. I got to start looking right.
I don't have a question about it, but I was going to ask if this is implemented, if there could be tracking to see what effect it does have on graduation rate and the students maybe in general. Am I out of line by asking that?
No, not at all.
Okay. That was it.
It's a good idea.
All right. I heard some different things. Do we want to talk about it more at a COW, or should we vote on it?
No. Vote. I recommend voting.
All right.
I'm in favor of voting.
All right. I'm going to make one, and we can see if it gets any in a second, but I would like to remove the MYP personal project or naval science and the global citizenship one, and then just rewrite that to say completion of mastery-based learning experience, because that's in line with the way the state has it written for that credit. So it would still include those two classes, but it would just be a broader credit. So we'll just see if we get a second on it.
But I believe I
Need a second.
Yeah, we need. All right, no second, so we don't need to talk about it. All right, any more discussion? All right. Oh, Jay?
Yeah, just for clarification, just so that everybody understands, since we've got a few of us that don't understand why it's okay for 29 and not right away. Could you just explain the chaos of having people graduate early, and how many students you think will graduate early because of this change, and how that will impact? I mean, because we do want more graduations.
Yes, you're right. We do want more graduations currently right now, and I used to have it here. I'm sorry, I just had it in my notes. I think our ESSA target is like, I think it's like maybe 91%, something like that. And don't quote me on this, but I know it's around that. And our the most recent graduation rate that Fitch was at was like 88%. I think we were like 2 or 3% under our ESSA target. And so we obviously want to make sure that we're meeting all of our ESSA milestones. ESSA milestones, I should clarify, these are targets that we receive from the State Department of Ed that we are supposed to be hitting each year. So we receive them for Smarter Balance, we receive them for graduation, 4-year graduation rate, 6-year graduation rate. There are a number of different targets that were like chronic absenteeism, and we're supposed to hit them all these targets every year. And so we've been under in graduation, and in the most recent graduation target. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know, I will say Mr. Brown has let me know that, like, typically maybe there's about 2 students that graduate early each year. And, there's a process for doing that. The parent has to come forward, ask special permission. And again, these are usually special circumstances. He anticipated that if we were to make this change, like, for example, with you wouldn't say this year's senior class, obviously they're in process right now, but for the junior class, which is the class of 2027, it could have a significant impact. Now, off the top of my head, I don't know what that number would be, but he and the counselors estimated that it would have a great impact, obviously much larger than 2 students. And they anticipate that what happens when you have a lot of kids graduate early, this is where you lose kids, right? Kids that normally would go on to college or go on to have maybe a career, they get lost in that transition period. When they don't have contact with the school, their high school, they don't go on necessarily to, because they're not having ongoing contact with their counselors, they don't go on to apply for colleges. They don't go on to apply for scholarships. They don't go on and do all the things that they normally would do when they have that regular or that ongoing contact with the school system. And then we would have kids kind of just floating and not being productive citizens. And so we're very concerned about that.
I'll just add one thing. I recall there's also the concern of students that all of a sudden found themselves with only having to take one class, not able to graduate early, but just taking one class, say, in a senior year. And if I had that kind of time on my hands at that age, I know I would, basically the structure of school would be beneficial.
Yes.
I'll say
Yes.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Exactly right.
Thank you, Anne Marie. I
You're welcome.
appreciate the clarification. And so I do support this. I know you spent an awful lot of time on it. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the guidance from the administration. So thank you for addressing my concerns.
All right, I do support lowering the credits, but I don't support this version of it. So I think it's overly specific for juniors and seniors, but I do appreciate the work, and I think largely it's a positive document. One thing, I had a question. On the first page, it says all students in grades 9 through 11 must be enrolled in a minimum of 8 credits per year. All 12th grade students must be enrolled in a minimum of 6 credits per semester. I understand what they're talking about there, but we're referring to, like, I think that's saying that you have to be in 3 classes a day minimum your senior year and 4 classes a day all the other years. So I was just wondering if there's am I the only one that sees that that's unclear by calling it for the year or for the semester? And if I am, I'll drop it.
I generally like consistency, so I think you bring up a valid point.
So is there, what do you think, Anne Marie? Or Mike, I guess you're on policy.
What does it say currently? I guess it would just see a minimum of 6 credits and then stop. That's what I'm going to check. This is before my time in policy. I just want to emphasize. but I will check.
At least you know where to go.
Yeah, it just ends at minimum of 6 credits.
Was that maybe supposed to be per year?
Well, it looks like per semester was added.
Yeah.
Should it say per year?
Doesn't make sense for per semester.
No.
Yeah,
That would be
so
12.
that was added. Again, before I even brought this forward to the curriculum committee for review, I checked with the counselors and Mr. Brown because I wasn't sure, about like the credits per year. That was something that I added based on the, how we wanted to move forward in terms of the number of credits for graduation. I went with 8, double checked with them. And then in terms of all 12th grade students, I know a lot of schools want students to have a certain number, especially seniors, a certain number of credits that they're carrying in order to meet certain requirements or to, so I went specifically to Mr. Brown and then also ran it by the school counselors. I think I met on one day with Mr. Brown and the counselors at the same meeting. And this is specifically how they wanted it written. I can't recall exactly the reason why, but this is the language that they asked me to enter.
To me, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mike.
To me, thank you for this. I think that sounds like a mistake because then it would have the seniors, 12th graders, taking heavier credit load per year, 12, than required of the others. My guess is we should just strike that change, that per semester.
If you wrote 6 classes per semester, it would make sense. Maybe. I don't know if classes is.
Yeah, yeah, that's true, because even the credit system doesn't make sense. I think it's supposed to be 6 credits myself, but...
So is this something we could need to work out here, or a small clarification like that? Could we just pass or vote on the policy and let the administration work out the...
We could make a motion to get rid of that part.
We could.
I'll make the motion to remove the phrase per semester in the sentence, all 12th grade students must be enrolled in a minimum of 6 credits per semester.
So you're making a motion to remove the per semester?
That's the change that was there, yeah.
All right, yeah. All right, anyone want to second that? I will second it.
And my motivation is that we'll go back to the original language on that. Because, and this isn't how many credits you have to earn, but it's how many you're carrying. And so if you have 8 in the first 3 years, that's 24, 6 in the last year, that brings you up to a total of 30, which is above and beyond what you need to graduate. But going back to having students have a structure while they're in school, this would help in that. But yeah, it does seem the language does seem inconsistent. I didn't realize that at all. Thank you for pointing that out.
All right. Any other discussion on the amendment? All right, so...
I do.
Oh, yeah.
And I think...
Go ahead, Andrea.
I think that what you said before, which is we should just pass it and then let if there's a mistake in just an error, let the administration work that out. I mean, if we should just pass it and if there's an error, let them correct it.
Jen? Jen?
Sorry, I was on mute. I agree with Dr. Ackerman. And then they could just tell us whether they're going to leave that verbiage in or out.
Mike?
I just say at this point it's our last go at it if we do approve this, and we're just restoring it to the original language, and so if they find out that they want to make that change, then they could come back and we have this small policy modification for that change, and then it could go through first reading, second reading that way. It does seem like that is a probably largely undiscussed increase in what we're asking from our students. So I'd like to go back to the original language.
Beverly?
I would like you to send it back to the committee of the whole instead of rehashing all this now. I mean, just send it back to the committee of the whole, let it rehash it in committee of the whole, and then bring it forward.
So if this doesn't pass, it would, well, we're voting on amendment, but if this doesn't pass, wouldn't it go to the policy committee again?
Yeah, so why don't we vote on the amendment, and then we can talk about, and then we can make that motion if you want to make a motion to send it to the COW.
Let me see if it passes first. I'll save us time.
All right, so all in favor of that amending per semester? So I am.
Aye.
All right, anyone else? Jay?
What are we voting on now?
Just removing the green on page 1 per semester. Andrea? Are you in favor of that amendment of removing the green language on page 1, or?
As I said, I'm thinking. Come back to me, please.
All right, I'll go back to you. Jen, are you in favor of removing that?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, just to, yes. And if,
All right.
if it needs to come back, like Mike said, then it will come back.
Yeah. All right. Mitch is in favor. Then I'm in favor. Who do I have? Sean's in favor. Beverly? Beverly, are you in favor or opposed to that, removing that language per semester? All right, well, maybe she's busy. All right, so anyone opposed? Abstentions? All right, so the amendment passes.
What was the numbers on that, though?
Did Andrea want to speak?
Said
Jay
I
vote?
in favor.
She'd vote in favor.
All right, yeah, I think I got everybody was in favor except for Bev and who just didn't vote.
Did Jay vote? I didn't.
Yeah, Jay voted.
I wrote a Jay's name down, yeah.
So what is that?
1, 2,
601?
5, 6, 7.
Did Andrea vote?
Yeah, she voted in
I voted in
favor.
favor.
Okay.
So it's 7, 7,
See
0,
Jen's
0.
hand up.
No,
She already
Bev
voted.
didn't vote.
Oh, yeah, so we, all right,
Oh, 701. Oh, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, she didn't abstain, she just didn't vote, so it would just be 7, 0, 0. I'm guessing she was busy at the moment.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it's 7, 0, 0. All right. So, all right. So the amendment passes either way. And back to the main motion. Is there any more discussion on the main motion?
As amended.
As amended. Thank you.
I wrote it down as amended.
All right. All right. So all in favor of the main motion as amended?
Aye.
So we got Mike, Jay, Andrea, Sean,
Jen.
Jen.
Mitch stepped out. We're gonna have to.
5. But yeah, Mitch stepped out. And, all right. I think we've got everybody on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, Beverly? All right. Beverly, did you vote on this for the main motion? All right. All right. Opposed? I am opposed. And then abstain. All right. And
Adrian, what did you say, one opposed?
yeah, so it's 5.
I just need a name.
5 in favor. I am opposed. So Mike, Jay, Andrea, Sean, and Jen were in favor. I am
Thanks.
opposed, and no one else abstains. All right. All right, so that passes. All right, so we are, I wrote that in the wrong place. All right, next item, discussion and possible action regarding approval of policy P6161.12, library material review and reconsideration policy as a second reading, which is attachment 10. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I move we approve policy P6161.12, library material review and reconsideration policy as a second reading.
Okay.
Anyone like to second that?
I did, unless there's somebody else on the committee.
All right, now.
Okay.
All right, discussion.
Yeah. So I'll just say this is a second reading. It's very lightly changed in response to comments that came up in the last time it came across the full board. The two change, actually it's really just one change. The first sentence now reads, the Groton Board of Education Board understands that on occasion a member of the public will wish to lodge a complaint against instructional material available in the school library/media center. The change was, it used to have or in a classroom or something like that. And so there's another policy for classrooms, so that's why that was omitted. Another member from full board had asked, well, what's the timeline for addressing a complaint and responding? And I think maybe when full board saw it, we maybe only had in the packet the policy, but if you flip through, you'll see the next full page is the regulation, and actually it's a couple pages with forms. And that regulation addresses many things, like the composition of the review committee, and item number 5 on the last page of the regulation. It says, if you keep on going down, it's right there. The review committee shall make a written decision on whether to remove the challenge material within 60 school days. So that's the timeline, 60 days, 60 school days. And I will say that this policy that we're considering as a second reading and the 2 others that we'll see coming back for approval after a first reading, are, as mentioned before, they're all coming from the Connecticut Public Act 25-168. This is in section 321. That act is very, very specific that we need a policy named Library Material Review and Reconsideration Policy, as well as the others. And it's covered, this is the document that Public Act is in. It's 745 pages long. It covers a lot of ground because it's an omnibus act, and if anyone is interested in looking at it, section 321 is on pages 476 through 482. So to sum up, we only, as a board, wanted very, very minor changes from the first and second reading, and then the question of the timeline, those have been addressed. And that's why we're putting it forward to you now.
All right. Jay, did I see your hand up before?
Actually, Dr. Whitney answered my question. I wanted to make that clarification that this came from the legislature and this wasn't something that's from within. So thank you very much.
All right. Any other questions? All right, no other discussion. All in favor of the policy 6161.12 on the second read?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Andrea, Sharon. All right, Beverly, are you in favor of this policy? I'm in favor. All right, I think I've got everybody. Anyone abstaining, or anyone no? And then abstaining, no, I think we got everyone. So that one passes 7-0 to 0.
We made our 5-minute estimate.
I know, I was
We're making up
mention
time.
that. All right. Discussion and possible action regarding we're on to new business now, I'm sorry. Discussion and possible action regarding the 2026 Board of Education meeting schedule, attachment 11. Would anyone like to make the motion? I see some hands up. Does anyone want to make the motion to start discussion?
Make the motion to start the discussion.
All right. Moved by Mitch. A second. Anyone?
Second.
All right, Jay. All right, discussion. All right. Well, I guess this is Beverly's thing, so, yeah, Mike, go ahead.
Just have a couple of things. For instance, in the bottom right, our last regular board meeting would be on December 21st, 2026. I'm thinking the school's probably not in session at that point, maybe. But I note that I feel like for this year we're meeting earlier than that. Should we move that up a week earlier? Even though it goes against the fourth Monday of the month, or I guess it already does. I was wondering if we should move that one up a week earlier.
One thing I was thinking of making with this, I believe, and maybe Joan knows this rule, but that we don't have to vote on this and submit it until the end of January. And since the committees haven't been fully formed yet, to my knowledge, I was wondering if we should just table this for next month after everyone can kind of, all the committee chairs can speak with the committee members and kind of make sure that the dates work out that way. And I'm just saying that because I believe 2 years ago we approved a schedule and then had a whole bunch of special meetings because the original schedule didn't work. And I can't remember if it was in committees or COWs or what. But,
I'll second that.
So
I want to postpone to time definite.
Yes.
We never get a table.
Although, so before I make that motion, I want to, Sean, Andrea, and Jen have their hands up. So, Sean, do you have something?
No, that was left over from a vote.
Oh, all right. All right. Jen?
Do you have a comment? I'm in agreement with moving the December 21st date, but I think school is in session because I remember trying to push for 2 weeks for next year as well, similar to this year. But the school calendar, we're still going to be in school. But I do agree because finance and facilities haven't met yet. So not really sure if that's going to be good for the committee. I'm assuming it will, but I didn't want to vote and say yes, and then we'll have like 10 or 11 special meetings. So that was just my comment.
All right. All right, Mike?
Yeah, just two other things. Like for the policy committee, for instance, and we can, if we do postpone this, then we can talk about it as a committee. I know it's as 6:30. I'm fine with that. But I noticed they've been at 6 o'clock. I'd be fine with that, too. We'd have a meeting on April 14th, the April vacation. No one's fine with that, probably. And so we'd move that one. And then just a broader question. I noticed that at least the policy committee and the curriculum committee tend to meet as remote only. And I was wondering if that modality should be considered for the... Like, if each committee should consider what modality they're posting, or if we're even locked into that anyway. Does it become a special meeting if I think if it's hybrid, we can go to remote only, I think, and maybe that gives us the most flexibility, but, so that's my question about the modality for the committees.
Yeah, I believe that's why we went to hybrid in the first place, was so it offered some options if we couldn't get in here and meet in person. So the one thing I would like to push, kind of work this out in the committees ahead of actually voting on it if possible. But I would like to, Joan, do you know, am I correct on that we have to file this by January 30th? Do you know?
I have not seen the memo from the town, so I don't want to quote yes or no. But it used to be October when this needed to be, but since we had an election, it just possibly could be.
All right. I don't want to push it if we're supposed to do it. I hate to call everybody up on the 24th to have a special meeting because we didn't do it at the end of this year. So I don't know if anybody else knows that. I didn't have time to look it up before the meeting, knows what the dates are and when we have to. Jay?
Has Susan seen the memo from the town?
No, but I'm just gonna text Joyce to see if she's on, if she can weigh in.
Okay, thank you.
Jay?
So my concern is that if we find out that we've missed the deadline, whether it just reverts to last year's schedule. I'm thinking we just vote tonight. Worst comes to worst, it really doesn't, make a big difference if it has to be posted as a special meeting. It's just a technicality. But I think it would be a lot more drastic if we miss a deadline, unless we can find out tonight.
All right, well, Susan's doing her best to find out, but while we're working on that then.
I feel like, it's a feeling, that we do have a few more weeks in January, but I don't want to misquote
I
it.
think it might be a state thing for FOIA.
We could always vote to reconsider if
Yeah, if we
we
don't
vote
actually,
now,
if
and
we
then if
don't actually file it until the state deadline.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so should we make these changes and then vote on the changes? Mitch?
I had one comment. I had a conversation with Anne Marie. The very first meeting scheduled is the curriculum committee, which I'm chair of, and it meets on January 5th, which is the first day everybody comes back. And I think that's going to be a little difficult to be able to support.
just cancel that one.
You and I were going to talk a little more about it, but
Yeah.
well, now maybe a good time.
All right, so I'll just make a bunch of changes, and then Andrea?
Yes, I wanted to go back to the 6:30 policy committee. I think they should all be at 6 o'clock.
All right, so what I'm going to do is write down all the changes, then I'm going to read out the changes, and then we're going to vote on that. Does that sound reasonable to everybody? And then we'll correct that later. So, all right, policy committee to 6 o'clock. Did we want to strike the regular meeting December 24th?
It's the 21st, but
Or 21st, I'm sorry,
we want to move it up, I think.
to the December 14th?
Well, then you're not going to have a COW, right?
We could have the COW on December 7th. Last year, but we just, Bev and I and you sat down and worked all this out, and it came out great.
Yeah, it
That's
did.
why
It
this
did.
is.
It worked out great.
That's why I wanted to push this, but, in which case it'll just be at the same time as the curriculum. We could just get rid of the curriculum for now and add a special meeting. Does that sound reasonable, Mitch?
I'm good at that, Anne
All right,
Marie.
so we'll delete their curriculum. We'll call December 24th, December 14th, the regular.
Could the deleting the curriculum cause problems with getting curriculum through?
Well, we can add a special meeting, or curriculum can add a special meeting.
Couldn't we just take that December 21st, keep it as is, and cancel it and have a special meeting later? We could figure that out later.
If there's voting.
Or earlier, like basically, anyway.
If we might cancel the 21st, we should just publish the 14th. I don't know, my own opinion. This isn't the, so we want to call December 7th a COW?
Anne Marie, you should be going on the road. I should have told you.
Yeah, we can probably handle this at this point.
Are you going to be okay? Yeah. Are you sure?
All right, so I know some other changes were stated earlier. Were there any other changes?
I would say policy committee, April 14th. I think we'd have to move that to the 21st, April 21st.
April 21st.
Drive to Hartford?
West Hartford.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
Lucky to have her.
All right. So I'm going to read the changes, and then if anybody else has any more, and then I'll let somebody make a motion for these changes. But it would be to move all the policy committees to 6 o'clock versus 6:13. It would be to delete the January 5th curriculum committee meeting. Move the policy committee meeting from April 14th to April 21st. Remove the December 7th curriculum committee meeting. Add a December 7th COW. And then change the December 14th COW to a regular meeting. Are there any other changes?
I would just advocate for keeping the curriculum meeting in January, just moving it later, because you're cutting out 2 regular meetings of curriculum. That time period might be important.
I know sometimes you give a little flex time to the committees during budget season too, because we tend to add on more meetings, and sometimes we hit our limit at 3 meetings a week.
Well, in the beginning of January, we won't be there. But,
Yeah, finance is supposed to meet January 6th. Is that going to be difficult?
do we want to add another curriculum committee meeting, or you have the option of just adding a special curriculum committee meeting, which you just need to do with 24 hours notice?
Okay, maybe we should go that way.
All right, so you don't have to pick the date out today. What I would suggest is just talk to Anne Marie.
Okay.
Actually, I think I had already talked to her about moving that meeting. So I think she wants to move that meeting, I believe.
I think she does, yeah.
So yeah, I would say that I would just suggest deleting it for now, but we'll add. I mean, we added meetings in curriculum in September and October that we just needed to add because we had more stuff.
Jen, are you okay with the January 5th or January 6th finance and facilities? We have a couple things we can look at, and we might have a couple more.
I was sort of debating on that one because I feel like Rita has the budget binder due to us, I believe, the 11th, and it's just like I want her to focus in on that one, and but maybe we could just have a facilities meeting like the following week, because everyone's just coming back from like shutdown, that I don't think anyone will have anything prepared or updated at that point.
So you're having the same feelings that that's a rush to get in the first week back?
Yeah, similar to the January 5th curriculum.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you want to put another date on that, or do you want to just cancel it for now and then call it a special meeting?
Yeah, cancel that one for now and then call it a special.
All right, well, we won't call it a special in here, you're just going to have to add it.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we required to have a certain number of meetings by state statute, or
No,
is
we
it
have
just...
more board meetings than any other board I know.
You don't want to ask the administration that question.
Okay.
All right, so I've got all this written down. If someone wants to make the motion, I will then read the changes, and then we can vote on that.
I'll make the motion.
All right. To make the changes that I'm going to state. All right, and the motion would be to delete the January 6th Finance and Facilities meeting, move all policy committee meetings to 6 p.m., delete the January 5th Curriculum Committee meeting, move the April 14th Policy Committee meeting to April 21st, remove the December 7th Curriculum meeting, add a December 7th Committee of the Whole meeting, and change the December 21st regular meeting to December 14th. All right. Is there a second to that?
Can I look at your paper?
You can have it.
I can second.
All right, and Mike seconds. All right, any more discussion? All right, so all in favor? Aye. So Jay. Andrea? Yes. Sean?
Yes.
And Jen?
Yes.
All right. And then is Beverly still, Beverly, are you there? All right, so, all right, opposed, abstentions, so it passes 7 to 0 to 0. All right. All right. Next item, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of policy.
I just have a question.
I skipped something.
Is it, so we approved the amendment? Do we now have to approve the main motion as amended? I think, I don't.
Yes, all right, so that, so we just voted on that, you're right, we do, we had to approve the main motion. So that was the amended motion with those changes. Now we'll vote for the main motion to approve the amended Board of Education meeting schedule. All in favor? Yes, everyone. All right.
Good.
7 in favor, opposed, abstentions. All right, the main motion passes 7 to 0 to 0. All right, next item, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of policy 6161.13, library collection development and maintenance policy as a first reading. Attachment 12. Sean, would you like to make the motion? See your hand up, so you're... Oh,
I can do it.
He took it down.
I move to approve policy P6161.13, library collection development and maintenance policy as a first reading.
All right. Anyone wants to second that?
Second.
Second.
All right, we'll give you that one, Sean.
Sorry, Mike beat me to it there.
All right. All right. Discussion.
Yeah, I can describe this one. This is, in terms of the policy number, 6161.13, library collection development and maintenance policy, and name, this is an entirely new policy. That's why it's all in green. This came before us as a board for our first reading before. It failed, and primarily because we have an existing policy that overlaps this one. It is, the existing policy is P6163.1, and it has a corresponding regulation, and that one's name is library materials selection. So it's very similar, but what's before us now for a first reading again is an updated version that is exactly consistent with this new public act I mentioned earlier, Connecticut Public Act 25-168, Section 321. It specifies that every public school system has to have a policy called Library Collection Development and Maintenance Policy, and then at minimum has to have these various elements, and the various elements are what's listed in the policy. This wording comes straight from CABE, sorry. And the only, so now we affirmatively know, we talked about this in the policy committee, that we have to have a policy, it has to be worded this way, more or less, and to be consistent with the new public act. So it's coming to you mostly the same, but there was one change, so we can say bring back something a little different. In the last paragraph, I think maybe, is that the same, am I looking at the same policy?
Are you,
Maybe-
you have the regulation up, Mark?
Yeah, so maybe the first page of this. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the policy, and everything else after this page is the regulation, but the last paragraph now starts, the superintendent shall create an administrative regulation. Before, the wording was, the board shall direct the superintendent to create an administrative regulation. This kind of cuts to the chase. And it's, Yeah.
As you see, there's
Yes.
a regulation attached.
And the
And I
regulation
whipped it
follows,
up.
right?
Which-
So that is done, like a good cooking show right away. So there weren't any, I think the other comment when we met as a full board was that the policy has a lot of affirmative statements, but it doesn't have all that much new action. And then it was brought up in discussion that indeed that last paragraph, directing or creating this new administrative regulation, that's where the action is. And I must say it is very similar to what we have on the books, and I think that's just a mark of a well-prepared, good school system already having something similar. We just need it updated. So.
All right. Any questions or discussion? Well, thank you for going through this, Mike.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good policy that we need to do. So I will take the vote. All in favor? All right.
Aye. Yeah.
All right, Andrea, Jan. Do I see Jay's?
Yeah.
All right, Jay's in favor?
Yep.
All right, and I'm in favor. All right, so 7. Any opposed? Abstentions? All right, so that passes 7-0 to 0. All right. Discussion and possible action regarding the approval of policy 6161.14, library display and program policy as a first reading, attachment 13. Just for the record, we saved like 4 minutes on the last one.
Make some more time up, too.
I think we should make this a contest.
Yeah.
I keep
like
in track.
I'll buy it.
All right, would anyone like to make the motion?
I move to approve policy P6161.14, library display and program policy as a first reading.
Second.
And I'll start the discussion. This is a very short policy. It affirms the expertise of library media specialists, which we know they do have, and it talks about how important library displays and library programming is in context of school system and students' education and development. And then I will say also, there's no particular action that this creates. It really is an affirmative statement. This failed its first reading because there's a broad feeling that, well, it doesn't do anything new or create any action. And the question was this really required? Indeed, it is required to have, by that public act I mentioned before, to have a policy that's called library display and program policy with, at minimum, these elements. And this wording comes from CABE and really tracks almost exactly the wording in the public act. So this is just an affirmative statement that it's good to have in the current world, and we're backing the importance of the library by passing this.
Mitch?
I think there's a typo in the very last line, therefore.
There is, yeah.
Where? How do we miss that?
It's in the legal reference. You're right. I think that might be in one of the other ones too. I remember that.
All right, well, that's just a typo. So that doesn't need an amendment, because we know I can't hold those votes properly.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion? All right.
Yeah, me.
Yes,
I just
Ann.
want to say, reiterate. This doesn't say a blue thing, but I know we have to vote for it anyway, that's all.
All right. All right, hearing no other discussion, I will hold the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm in favor. And Jen? John?
Getting there a little slow.
All right. Sean, are you in favor of this one? All right, Sean's up.
Yes.
All right. And then opposed, abstain. All right, so passes 7 to 0 to 0. All right, the next order of business is discussion and possible action regarding the paraeducator mentor stipend. So if someone would like to make this motion.
I'll make the motion.
All right. All right, second? Anyone?
I'll second.
All right. You guys are going to be popular on the minutes.
Yeah.
Needed to happen.
We're tag teaming it.
All right. Susan, do you want to explain what this is for?
Well, we had met with our paraeducators, and this year we started a mentor program. It was actually their idea. It's similar to what we do for teachers when new people come on board. It's really to help with people retention so that they have a buddy in the school that they can go to at any time. We also give them time when they first get there to shadow another expert paraeducator and connect them. Oftentimes it's someone who's a union rep, but it doesn't have to be. And already we've seen some significant progress before that. They've built relationships. We've kept people on board who've gone through this, and we have it at every building, and we want to be able to reward with a stipend those people who are spending that extra time and energy and leading others. And so we think it's a great idea. We have a couple other ideas up our sleeve that we can talk about later with the board, but I'm really pleased this board's commitment to making sure our paraeducators are taken care of.
Yeah, and if they're doing additional work, I definitely
And they're doing additional work.
appreciate that.
Yep.
And if it can make them more effective in general, our students and families will
Yep.
appreciate that.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you know how much the total cost on our budget will be approximately for this?
Well, I said that this is going to happen in every school, and I think there's a couple mentors at every school, but I don't have the exact number. I'd have to get it from Lori.
All right.
But I know that we were going to look at the paraeducator budget because we don't have all the positions filled, and also look at non-lapsing funds to be able to
All right.
secure that funds.
All right. I feel like I can't remember what that number was. So I won't. Any other discussion?
I seem to remember, like, was it around 10? But it's definitely less than 20, obviously. So, like 15, 16 at most.
Yeah, it's not.
15 or 16 people, right, for mentors, so wouldn't be that
so
large.
that just to support. I didn't want to say a random number, but I remember like 10 or 11,000 or something in that range. Jen?
Yeah, I was going to say 11,000.
All right. And Jay?
Yeah, I just want to take this time to say that we really appreciate our paraeducators. We could not do what we do without them, and we any way that we can recognize them and to support them, and in this case, they're supporting their peers. We want to recognize that, and I hope we can do more for the paras in the years to come. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor to approve the paraeducator mentor stipend?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have 7 in favor. Any opposed? Abstentions? That passes 7 to 0 to 0. All right, next item on the agenda, information and proposals. Letters, communications, and comments by board members on meeting items and any other items in their jurisdiction. So, Sean, I see your hand still up, so I'm going to call you first.
Sorry, Sorry, I was trying to get off mute. No, I have not had any outreach.
All right. Andrea?
Brenda.
All right. Jen?
Nothing to report.
All right. Jay?
Yeah, I want to correct an oversight from earlier in the meeting. I thanked Susan, Anne Marie, Denise Doolittle, the teachers. I completely overlooked Shannon Weigel, and she has been a rainmaker for us over the years.
Yep.
I don't know how many millions we're up to now that she has been able to get in grants for this district, and the amazing work that we've been able to do because of those grants and reducing the taxpayer burden while, providing quality programs for our students. So we really appreciate her. And she does it all at, 0.25 FTE? Just amazing. So I want to thank her. I also want to thank the unsung heroes at Channel 19, Mark, Russell, and Kate, who sit through these sometimes endless meetings, get the attachments up on the screen so that the public can follow along at home, whether they're watching live or on YouTube later. And speaking of YouTube, you probably noticed that a number of concerts have been posted on YouTube because Mark and his amazing team go to the schools and, in addition to their day jobs, are there documenting these really important milestones in our students and families' lives and creating a vast library of video of these events. And so you'll see them popping up on our YouTube lately every other day, I believe. So thank you very much to everyone at Channel 19.
And he sent them to me, and I put them in board notes, so you'd have them right there if you missed one.
All right. Trying to think if I missed anybody else online. Jen? All right. Mike?
I'm okay.
Itch?
I'm good.
All right. I've got no comments. All right. Future meeting dates and calendar items for board attention. So we can make a modification that the curriculum committee is canceled right now. And the finance facilities, was that canceled?
Yep, we're going to find another time.
Yeah, we'll find another spot for that. All right, and that was those are the changes we made. January.
Is the policy committee at 6 now?
Yeah, and then the policy committee's at 6.
We'll have Joyce do a revise, so you guys can all see it.
All right, meetings with town bodies, that's to be determined. Any other discussion on the calendar? All right, suggested agenda items. Do board members have suggested agenda items that they'd like to bring forward? All right, no. Andrea?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, boy.
I'll second.
Second.
All right. All right, we'll give that one to you, Jay. All right. All right, thank you, everyone.